3000.
What is doing? My name's Maloney. This is the 3000 podcast. I'm joined today by a guy who needs no introduction, an MC from Melbourne, Bias B. Thanks for coming, man.
Thanks for having me.
You're the first guest we've had that didn't need an introduction, so there you go.
That's special. There's someone watching now going, who's this guy?
Who's this guy? No, you are probably the most requested guest we've ever had, and I appreciate you taking the time to finally come on the show. And what better time to do it than episode 88, man?
Perfect. It's my number.
It is indeed.
It is.
So, look, I know people know a lot about you, but we have to sort of start in the beginning about where you grew up and how you got involved in this Aussie rap scene, man.
We started through graffiti. I was born in Greensborough.
Yep.
1974, 50
If you've
years
listened to
ago.
any music, they would know that, yeah.
Yes, if they listened. The people I grew up with started to see a bit of graffiti. It was, when it was all starting to, break out on the train lines and, do little outlines and started kids around the neighbourhood. I lived just up the street from Sick and Cruz and also do Ryan Berger, who had this OSA crew. The graffiti started from there.
What did OSA stand for?
Outer Suburban Artists.
There you go. So you knew you weren't in the city and you were leaning into the fact that you were from the burbs.
So we're outer, yes.
Yeah.
So, we'd go and do a few pieces, we'd all go and do a piece together, someone's outline and, learn to paint, that type of thing. And I guess that led to, listen to the rap music and, it just all went from there.
Had you developed the Bias name at that stage?
I originally, one of my first tags was Bones. That was OSA crew. Then I was writing Bureau, which was Buro, which ended up giving that to Sick.
Yep.
He got up heaps, Bureau and Choice, took it to a next level. And then was listening to cassette tapes like TDK and have low bias, high bias written on it. And I thought, cool, every time someone picks up a tape and dubs something, they're going to think of my name, so I'm going to write bias.
Like AC/DC.
But then like a few months later, I was probably 6 months later, Spray Can Art came out and there was a bias in there. And was like, you bit it from that. But that's what it came from. And my name's Adam Stevens, so it was done by Adam Stevens. So that was my other part of it.
Yeah. And look, when someone else is in New York, does it really matter in the 80s? You know what I mean?
Who cares?
They know that it's not New York City bias coming here down on the Hursty line, surely.
Yeah. Well, there's a bias in Adelaide. There's a bias in New Zealand now, everywhere. There's only one bias B, though, that I know of.
That's true. Well, there's only 26 letters in the alphabet. There's only so many ways you can rearrange them.
True.
True. So you developed the Bias name and you're just getting involved in hip-hop. And are you... Because at this stage, and it's hard for us people that weren't old enough at that stage, it was the whole culture. It was breaking, it was the MCing, it was listening to the hip-hop music. It was the whole thing, the whole package.
Yeah, well, you normally you try and do all of it or one of the others. Like in 1984, I was going to McLeod YMCA, going to rap dance lessons.
Yep.
That's what it was called then. And I wasn't that good at it, but I was a part of the music, sort of what you did. So I guess that... And the skateboarding was a part of it too, because skaters and, doing the graph was all sort of the same.
Anything counterculture was just grouped together as this new thing.
And it was also exciting. Like back then, it was so exciting. And you didn't have the internet just to see all this shit. You had to actually go out and see people doing this stuff and be at the skate park or see someone painting a wall on the train line. Even like film clips, you could just see what you want now on YouTube. Back then, you sit 12 o'clock at night, Rage, hoping Public Enemy, Run DMC is going to come on. There wasn't that much to have. So what you actually got, you really fed on that and just loved it. And the feeling it gave you was incredible.
Yeah. So you did have a skate park there? I'm guessing in the early 80s, it must have just been
we
had
the Hat Factory at Eltham.
Okay.
So that was an old fish bowl that got emptied.
Yeah.
So that was one of the best skate parks going around at that time. And we used to go to Bulleen as well, which is still there.
Yeah.
Hat Factory's now been filled in, so you can't go. You can still see remnants of what used to be there. But
I'm guessing a lot of pieces there as well.
There was a little bit of graffiti, but it was mainly just a lot of good skaters came down, and that was it. It was called the Hat Factory because it was next to an actual hat factory. So they used to throw all the old hats and shit into the bin outside. So we'd always be looking for Kangol, thinking we're going to find some LL Cool J type shit.
It was like a Kubras and that sort of hats.
There was a lot of felt also, there was all of the offcuts and that was always like glue and the smell in there was disgusting out of these bins. Yeah. But that's why it was called the Hat Factory. And that's just where everyone went.
And you made connections there? You met other people that were into the same sort of thing?
I more knew, like I was going there, I guess, Sick, Cruz, dudes who later became, I sort of did a lot with them. I went to kindergarten, primary school, and I just sort of grew from there.
Yeah.
So did meet people, but we sort of just had our own little crew, who skated. I was never that good at skating, it was more, I guess music was my thing. That's why I moved on. Next thing, the next thing, trying to find what I was best at.
And so then you would just, at this point in time, there wasn't really an avenue to get hip hop music or to consume it in Australia. You only had to catch little bits in movies, or Rage wasn't even really until late 80s. I don't think Rage was really
Well,
a
the
thing.
first thing I heard was on Casey Kasem's Top 40, which was Shaka Khan, Feel For You. And there's a little rap bit in that. And I'm like, oh, what's that shit? That's great. And then I watched the movie Breakin', it was called Breakdance Here, with my mum. And after watching that movie, Turbo and Ozone, like, oh, I want to do this shit. This is great. And that sort of inspired it all from there. And also my parents sent me to Ivanhoe Grammar for a year. So they paid all this money for me to go to this really nice school. But on the train line between, say, Heidelberg and Darebin was all this TMM shit and Wisp and Spy and like Jewel and Pest type of shit stuff. So that's actually what sent me to the graph, by them trying to send me to a real good school and get me a good life. That's the way things go.
For sure. I had Wisp come in on the show. There's a first episode ever shot in this
That was
studio.
the first one I watched of yours.
Yeah. And he was telling me, man, it's so hard for us to comprehend, but I think there was 8 colours they had to choose from back then, and one of them was Mission Brown, and like the amount of work that they put in to make those colours work, it's amazing, man.
Yeah, it was incredible.
Crazy.
Also, like back then, a bunch of people, I think there was a bit of a paint berg that went down, and they got a whole lot of good colours, purples and pinks. And you're like, where the fuck do you get this from? Us being toys, they don't want to tell you how to get the good nozzles or where they come from or where the good paint, because they're going to lose it. So you just have to make do with what you have.
For sure. And like in this day and age, it's awesome that people can go and buy any nozzle or do anything ever. But the creativity that would have gone into stealing the nozzles from a oven cleaner or all that sort of stuff.
It was the spray adhesive. That was kind of the one you want. That was kind of like a New Yorker.
Okay.
So you just have to go in and rack those off the cans.
Those off, yeah, and they're easy to put in.
But even then, you had your male nozzles, and you just get a bit of paper and you fold it over so the nozzle can't go down as hard. So you get thinner lines with it. Or same with the blue nozzles on Dulux, where you push the pin down so there's not as much pressure going, or you can empty all the gas out of the can, turning it upside down as well. Because you get like the Kill Rust Blacks for an outline, they just blasted. They were fucked for an outline. So you have to take half the gas out upside down, and then they'd be okay.
It's a different world now. Kids can just do a tutorial and get the cap adapters and all that sort of stuff.
Like that loop paint, you don't even need to change it. The nozzle's perfect, the paint cover's perfect. It's just too easy.
For sure. And you're still painting to this day a little bit here and there?
I still do a little bit, yeah, when I have the energy.
Yeah.
And I did. I've done one this year. A few last year. For a while, I was out of it and I didn't really care. And then a couple of people said, "Come paint a wall," and it's just nice to be out with people.
It is.
It's as much as painting the wall, and what you do is the experience of just sitting and talking, having a laugh with people you probably haven't seen in a while.
That's what I do. I don't even paint the wall. I just sit there and have a beer and have a laugh.
Just hang out.
Yeah, and it's good fun. Yeah. I think that graffiti thing is something that if it's ingrained into you and that part of the culture that you were in, it'll never sort of be out of it. You can't, even driving down here, you're looking at like walls and that sort of thing.
Yeah. And now it's on the freeway, so you're looking, trying not to crash.
I know. I reckon I'll crash my car one day looking at, that wasn't there yesterday.
And even from those early days, I was saying going over no grammar, like to see those pieces. And there was a dude, DK, he was like the king of our line, MDA crew, and he'd always use fluoros with black outlines and shit. We didn't know where to get fluoro. I'd never seen this shit before. But just the feeling it gave you to see that. And still, if I look at those old photos, I still get that same feeling, like I'm a 13-year-old kid. It's that excitement of this. It was just incredible. Same with like the skateboards, like the colour of the wheels and all the fluoro shit that was coming out and the rails or whatever. It was just...
It was exciting.
It was a great time. There was so much, and everything was so new, and there was just so much enjoyment and happiness in all of it.
It is really true, but it's like the 80s, the colours just broke out of like the dreary 60s and 70s, and all of a sudden colours that we didn't even know, fluoro yellows and pinks and stuff, came out, and it kind of brightened the whole scenery of what was a drab and dreary sort of place.
And it's kind of what made you feel inside. You're like, I want to be a part of that. Like even watching breakdance, it's a terrible movie. There's some breakers actually about jazz ballet and a dude called Cupcakes and his girl Special K. That's pretty much what the movie is. But just the breakers and the colours they were wearing, and it was just like, I want to be a part of that.
For sure. So when you go into Ivanhoe Grammars or any other kids there that are into the hip hop thing, is it popularized by this stage?
Well, it is. Well, there's trains getting painted. I'm not seeing as much of it, but yeah, it's really like, we're talking 86, 87. Sort of 88's when shit just went crazy, 88, 89, that's to a next level. But yeah, it was definitely like when I was young, I used to go to my nan's house in McLeod, and I always see this thing on the wall, which is Bo the Snout Catcher. And the dude just do this little character. And we used to always say boogies or, fucking the boogie catcher. And me and my brother, little kids laughing. But that was kind of the first graffiti I saw. Right. And then there was a crew called Meat Pack. And that's all they used. I didn't do pieces. They just did tags on the trains.
Yeah.
And at the start, it wasn't even like about the art. It was just kind of just drawing things in the trains and hanging around.
And in that time, it's before my time, there wasn't any real precautions to stop kids from doing graff, really, was there? Like, there was the cops, obviously, but it wasn't, you didn't have to go to the lengths that you would to now to evade the
No. Like, even like, I painted a train, I think it was in 87 with Dial in Hurstbridge, and there was no fence or anything. The train stops, you push the doors open, you just get out that side into the yard, and then you just jump out and you're there. It didn't matter. It wasn't like you had to cut a hole in the fence or anything like that.
Yeah.
It was more the worry, I guess, back then was when you used to rack paint and carry and try and take it home on the train.
Yeah.
That's when you might get done. For having to walk around with this bag of paints, we just catch buses everywhere. Where we lived, it was, get away with it doing that.
For sure. Yeah, when Wisp was on, he said, look, in the early days, and talking sort of early 80s, they weren't even sure if people saw you doing it, they were so perplexed by what was going on, they didn't even know if it was illegal or not. They're like, what are you guys doing? Painting? Like, are you breaking into anything? Like, no.
They didn't walk up to you in the yard, just have a look what you're doing. They just walk off. Yeah, good on. Yeah. Can you write my name there? Good on you, mate. Didn't care. Well, I remember even getting on trains, like I was saying before, we sick when I gave him the tag bureau. He'd get on a packed train, peak hour train, and just pull out his 30 mil and start bombing the back panel. Ask the people, can you move out of the way? Can I do some tags there? It was, all right.
Yeah. They didn't know.
It was a different world, yeah. But then again, if you got like 10 little, kids who might be seem a bit violent or scary, maybe just let them do what they want.
Yeah, that's true. Power in numbers. So with the markers, like we've touched on the cans, but with the markers, with the shoe polish, like where are you getting 30 mils from and that sort of thing back then?
They were just the news agents were supplying them when they would have come. I guess the 30 mil and 20 mils, they would have come around 87. Before that, you had the Pilot flow pen, which was the silver and the gold.
Yeah.
They're quite noisy with the balls in them being metal. There's also Poscas.
And you could refill those ones as well.
Yeah. So you just learn from other people how you undo it and fill it back up, and whether you take the balls out or not and put the tape back on. Hope it doesn't leak in your jocks, but as it did. And then people started using horse dye for saddles type of thing, raven oil. Yeah. And that's what it was made for. So that would stain, and people realised, what it'd do, but you wouldn't want to rub it because it never dried properly on the panel. But when they wiped it off, it ate into the panels. Your tags were still there.
Yeah.
So that was good, but pretty messy.
Yeah, you had to be creative, man.
Yeah.
For sure. So then at this stage, the graph thing is happening, and that's what you're doing for time to amuse yourself. Did you see a future in that, or did you think this is just something you do as kids?
At that time, just seeing it as something you do as kids, you just hang around with your mates. Like after school, you go straight to the trains. You do loops for probably maybe 2 hours and have to be home for dinner for 6:30.
So on the Hursty line, or you going to different lines?
Well, at the start, it was Ivanhoe Grammar. Then I went to St Helena, which is like it's not near a train line, so we'd actually get the bus to Greensboro Station or Eltham Station, then do some loops, go home, and then after dinner you'd go down to maybe Montmorency Station and do run-ups all night. Then probably have some cones and then head home, and you do the same the next day. Then on the weekends, you just it was always the same crew. Of sort of pretty much just Greensboro to Eltham, because it's where it went to single track. So the train has to wait at Eltham for the Greensboro train. Then you swap to the Eltham. Greensboro's doing the same, has to wait. So you just keep looping around. You just hit all the trains until your tags are coming back, and then you stop doing it or go somewhere else. Yeah.
And are you deviating out of that line at all and meeting other crews and other people that are on different lines?
Now and then, Sick would always take me like Richmond and, meet people like Tame, or I remember hanging out with Theme one day, or Brink. I kept a lot to our line. And people would always come down our line as well. People like Pronto or NASA or anyone, you know. It was just it was a good time then. Everyone was happy. There wasn't like violence. There wasn't like people against each other. Everyone was just getting up and bombing. Everyone just fucking loved it.
You're all against the system sort of thing together.
Yeah, yeah. And we're just having a fucking great time.
Yeah.
That's it. Like the energy and the excitement of it. Like you can't relive that.
Yeah. And man, and it sounds like an amazing time. Pre-cameras, pre-phones, you know, just a different world.
Yeah. Get away with anything. Pretty much. Yeah.
So at this time you're meeting other like-minded people, and I guess the music that you're listening to is different. Are people sort of saying, man, I found these tracks, or my friend sent this stuff over from the US, or where are you consuming your tunes at this sort of time?
Some of the first time I heard Run DMC was from a DK had a younger brother. I remember him playing Run DMC, Raising Hell. That was the first time I'd heard that one. I was given a few cassettes. I had 2 Live Crew and Paid in Full on the other side. I used to be this guy. They used to call me the music encyclopedia because I always had a Walkman that always had a speaker, so you didn't need headphones. Wow. And I just listen to shit over and over and over and over. Every word, everything. I still do. I can go back and just listen to them in my head. I don't need to play these songs.
Yeah.
So I always had the music. I forgot the direction of the question you started with.
Where?
One of the best things was there was a guy who used to write the Steam, Heapsy. And he'd go into Central Station with his jacket and he'd rack all fucking records down the back. And then he'd sell them to Sick, yeah. So I go up to Sick. So Sick only lives like 20 doors from me, and I'd just dub everything off him. He's got like fucking Dougie Fresh, and then there's EPMD, and he's just constantly getting these records. And that like just inspired me to just I've just got so much music, Jungle Brothers, whatever, just sitting at home doing outlines. I constantly just listen to music. I never stopped. I fall asleep listening to it. And then in later days, there was a dude, Mark Giardinazo. This is like 91, Eltham High, BSK crew type of shit. And he was from a wealthy family. He was able to just buy all these CDs and all this music. So the new DOC comes out, NWA, Easy, whatever, it's all that West Coast shit. And he was getting that, and same, he was dubbing that for us as well. So you're never actually buying any music. You're just getting dubs of all this shit. But I just like the feeling it gave me, and I just loved it so much that I just thrashed it.
For sure. And I guess that's, if they're dubbing it, you can put whatever tracks you want on. You've got your own little mixtape.
Yeah, I'd always take the whole thing. Sometimes you miss a last song, or, you know, you got something like, you know, I Need Love, LL Cool J, and you realise you fast forward too many times and your tape's fucked. Yeah. So in the end, you just have to listen to the wax songs as well and appreciate them. Yeah. But also I was saying, when I used to come out to where my nan was out of Hastings, so I'd always just be on these train rides all the time. So leave, you know, Eltham High, and then I've got to get a train all the way to Hastings and then come back on the Sunday. So I'm just constantly just there listening to music.
Mm-hmm. And there's something about listening to that kind of music and sitting on the train, you feel so connected with it. Like you feel like if you can listen to it in your room and you kind of get it, but when you're on a train, it feels like you're actually kind of there a little bit.
I find myself like writing raps as well. I write raps, or I get good ideas sitting on a train. Going past, seeing the world, actually moving. Even if I'm walking, sitting still doesn't inspire me as much.
Yeah. So you physically would write with a pen and paper on the train?
Yeah, or I'd take a book, or just in the phone when, you know, phones became a thing. I mean, the old phones are good because I got to the point where I didn't have to look. I knew where the buttons were and I could just think. I could still be looking. Oh, sorry about that.
You're right.
Yeah, now you can't do the same. You're not touching the buttons. Okay. Where you know, you hit the second one twice, that's a B, or that's an A. You remember how the...
Yeah, it used to work. You used to have to push the button like 4 times to get one letter.
Yeah. I don't know what the word for it is. There's a word for it out there. But I was so good at it that I didn't need to look at my phone. I could just think and just go, and the words would come out. You sort of had the auto texting thing going on at the same time.
It would pick up the flow of what you wanted to do somehow.
Yeah, or it would have memory of what you did maybe beforehand. So, yeah, that was good like that.
Yeah. You'd try and type fuck and it would be duck all the time. You know what I mean?
My phone still fucking does that.
Still ducking does that.
Just let me have fuck. Come on. Yeah.
So you're getting all this music. I'm still stunned that guy can rack 12-inch records. That's impressive, man. So you're getting all this music and you're dubbing it, and you start to think, all right, well, I'm going to try and do... Because obviously the AKA brothers are out there. There is some Aussie rap. Were you privy to that at this stage?
I was from Hatesbridge Line, also known as Hurstbridge. So you hate everything. Like, I'll be honest, I listen to, that's whack, I can do better than that. I listen to this, I can do better than that. Everyone going, you're better than that, Bias. These dudes are whack. It was only later on where I actually appreciated what they were doing at that point. I wasn't really paying, because I started with the American accent as well. Right. So the first music I actually heard was, or the first time I saw someone do a rap, my mate Marty Pribble, he lived 2 doors down. I was kind of like the surrogate brother of their family. And Marty wrote a rap one day. And I was like, fuck, I could do that. So I went home and I wrote a little rap and I was like, fucking, I think I might be able to do this. It's all right.
Yeah.
That's sort of what sparked it off. And there was where he lived 2 doors down. It was like, they played guitar, the oil painting, made their own T-shirts, just like this creative space. And like all the writers used to come. There was a whole lot of like, they're not really hippies, but sort of, more people from the bush who weren't into the graffiti thing, just into creative shit. And there was sort of a hub where everyone would just go. And Marty was sort of friends of everybody. So we'd all just be there. And that was a real great space for us to be inspired to do shit.
For sure. It sounds like that's, where you could be comfortable and create stuff where a lot of other households probably were like, what are you doing with that graffiti and that sort of shit?
Yeah. And my parents, they'll be like, what the fuck you doing? This is stupid. But, you go over there and it's like, oh, man, that's good. Do another one of those.
Yeah, for sure. So then when you're writing your raps, are you trying to, and you said you started with the American accent, are you emulating, Rakim, or are you emulating who you're hearing at the time? Like,
I'd say it was kind of an easy E, Ice-T type of thing.
Okay. Because West Coast had taken over at this stage.
Yeah, well back even when I first went to record Beeswax first song, the first question XL asked me, do you like West Coast or East Coast? And I said, what's the difference? I actually hadn't paid attention. I just like rap.
Yeah.
Because say when Ice Cube came out, it was more of an East Coast sound. It wasn't like before. It was before you had that G funky, whiny sort of. It wasn't on that tip at that point. So yeah, I liked anything that was just kind of good rap.
Yeah.
But I was sort of House of Pain inspired me. The Ice-T short. I love the storytelling, the visuals it gave you. It took you on a journey. I like metaphor rappers, but it wasn't really my thing.
Yep.
It was like, I'm as good as this and I'm as good as that. I want to hear a story. You went down the street and this fucking happened and this person got robbed, or, that's what was exciting to me. Shit that'd give me like a tingle down the spine.
Yeah. Like, Slick Rick was doing that sort of early as well, like we'd tell the whole fucking story.
Yeah. And I think the first rap I actually wrote had the word Uzi in it.
Yeah. Because that's what you did.
Yeah, that's what I did. Like, well, you didn't know, like you didn't. These days, kids have a benchmark and they already have, hey, I'm gonna be like that. We didn't have that. No. We were just trying to find our sound and find ourselves. Yeah. And it was actually in about 1991. There was a place called the Sunset Club in Northcote on Separation Street, run by a dude, Joe Fakery. His family owned it. And my mate Crispin and Chrissy, I believe, put on this thing called Boomin' System. That's what the monthly gig was called. Maybe it was weekly. I think it was monthly. And I got to rap there. And when I got off the stage, Reason and Ransom both came up and said, oh, you sound all right, you can rap, but you should be a bit more Australian, be a bit more yourself. And no one ever said that to me. Because all my crew were just, gangsta, because they love to punch on and fucking, sweet, sounds good. So that was sort of the bit where I started thinking, I need to sort of go on my own journey and be myself and find my own voice.
For sure.
Which I'm still trying to find.
No, but that sounds so funny because you kind of became the guy known for being Aussie as fuck. Yeah. So it's funny that sort of happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like now it goes without saying that people should rap in their own accent. But I guess then it was like there was, like you said, there was no one really to look up to, so you didn't have that benchmark.
No. Well, people still say the same thing now. They say, oh, but the cadence and this sounds better if you sound that way. And it's like, but if you're not being true to yourself, that's not what I want to hear anyway.
100%.
If I want to hear American rap, I don't want to hear you doing it. I don't want to hear you doing Chinese or French rap. I want to hear a Chinese or a French person doing. That's what I want to hear.
For sure.
So it never made sense to me once you got to the 2000s, there was no point for that to happen anymore. Mm-hmm. And people still do it. And it's like, if that's what they want to do, cool, but I'm not going to appreciate it. Not my thing.
No, and a huge part of hip-hop is being true and being who you are. So if you're going to put a different accent on, then you've sort of missed the first step.
Yeah, it's already fake and I already don't believe what you're going to say from that point on.
Yeah. Man, and it's like you said, there was no benchmark out there. But for people like me who was born in the 80s and then growing up, the first sort of person that I heard with a Aussie accent was yourself, and that you sort of became that person that a lot of people probably did hear, well, this is someone from Melbourne is actually doing this. I'm not to say you were the first, but you're probably the first that hit a lot of people on the radar. I
think it was because when Beeswax came out, it was the first solo album with an Aussie accent that actually did well. Mm-hmm. Before that, people say, oh, you can't do that. It's not going to happen. Or there was like Deadly C. He was like an African guy who was sort of doing stuff at the time. You had your Death Wish cast, the group. But sometimes people said, I didn't sound as Aussie. They had their own sound that was going on. So it was just like that bogan, ochre, bias kind of sound that came out. And it kind of, it inspired people to show them, hey, you can actually do it.
It definitely did.
I sold 40 CDs in one day. I was like, fuck, you serious? They're calling wanting more. Like, nah, they're lying to me. Oh. Couldn't believe it.
Well, that's it, man. Like, so let's talk about Beeswax, because that was the first sort of introduction I got into, a whole album. And we were listening on the radio to the Formula and all that sort of stuff. But when Beeswax came out, that was a bit of a game changer. I think it's a bit of a bookmark in Aussie hip hop in general. So how did that come about? I believe there might have been some grants or something like that.
Yeah. I'd thought about doing it. I didn't really know what I was going to do type of thing. I saw there was a NEIS scheme, New Enterprise Initiative scheme, was through the Dole. My plan was leave year 12, go on the Dole and make my own T-shirts or focus on the rap thing, which wasn't much of it, made it happen anyway. But we did an NEIS scheme. The first one I did, and they go, where are you going to get the money from? And I was like, well, I thought that's a part of what you do. And they go, no, we're just there to help you along. And I was a bit deflated and thought, oh, it's not going to happen. Then I saw, was advertised another one, a NEIS scheme. So, So it's like, for people who don't understand, when you're on the Dole unemployment scheme and they have these things where if you've got a business idea, they will, give you some training and a bit of a grant to go forward. So
help facilitate it.
Yeah. So the second one I did, I did a 7-week business course, which was in Richmond, just on Church Street, and I got a $2,800 grant. So that paid for the mastering and the pressing of the first CD.
And that's decent bucks back then as well. Like,
it was.
It still is to this day, but then you would have been like, that can go reasonably far for what I want to do.
Yeah. And we had a year to spend that money. And within 2 months, I think because it was near the end of the year, December or something, we got phone calls around February and they said, it's all shutting down. You've got 2 weeks to use your money.
Yeah, wow.
And like, apparently New South Wales and Queensland, the people running the same thing had no students, but they were taking all the money. So they scanned, so they just shut the whole thing down. So quickly I had to say, Prowler, I need this shit done. I'd already recorded a few songs of XL, I've been chipping away. And then XL had packed up shop. I had my tracks. I got in touch with Prowler and he Jace makes the beats, but I did the recording. So I thought it was just, no, Prowls did everything. I hadn't met Jace at that point. And then, I went to Jace's and we recorded Rainy Days, Back to Nature, Let It Flow, and Back in 88 Part 2 over 2 days.
Wow.
And then I think he mastered it maybe 2 days after that on his... wasn't proper mastering. I find out later.
Jace did all the beats.
Jace did the beats, and he was there for the recording as well. And so we just knocked it out in that short amount of time. And then I took it to Dex Audio and pressed it up, and it was done.
That's it. And then, so at that stage, it was just CD form.
Yeah. It was the CD came out on May the 7th, 98, and the vinyl came out the end of September that year.
Yeah. And so the vinyl pressing, you also use that NEIS scheme money to do that as well?
Yeah. Well, I'd already got money back from the CDs, so that was already starting to turn over, and I could do that.
And what was your plan to actually distribute it? Were you like, I'm going to sell it myself? I'm going to get it in, like Obese, or Central Station, I guess?
Back then there was Obese Records. Obese, shout out to Ollie Bobbitt. I got contact from Hams up at Rocking Horse Records in Queensland, up in Brisbane. Also Odie, who now runs Crush City up there. He was just buying CDs off me, 10 CDs at a time, and selling them to his mates. So that was also helping to push. And there was Next Level in Sydney. And slowly people started to contact me, same with gigs. I started getting phone calls. A lot of time people were trying to get Prowler to do gigs, and he said, but I know this guy Bias and he'll do shows for you.
He just passed your number on.
Yeah, so then as the CD was out and people started to know my name as well, that's sort of, much respect to Prowler because he helped me a lot. For
sure. And where does the PBS sort of stuff fit into this timeline?
When I was recording with XL, I think we're about 6 or 7 songs deep, and he said, you need to go into the radio, you need to do, promo. Because he was also telling me, do this many CDs. I had no idea. I had no idea about anything.
How many was he telling you to do?
I think it was only to do like 500 CDs. I was going to do about 100. I remember the first gig when I went to Revolver, they go, how many flies should we do? I go, 50. She goes, we'll do 500. I'm like, that many people aren't going to come. What are you doing?
It's not going to be one person per
I'd never organised a gig. I had fucking no idea. I think my naivety to everything was that that's what helped me. that I wasn't already stuck. This is what you can do and you can't do. I just, I'll do that. All right.
Yeah.
There's no one to tell me otherwise. So the radio, Chrissy used to do the radio, and then Excel said you should go in, and I rocked in. And there was this dude Stewie there, and I knew Stu from Stumpy's, like part of BSK crew. Stumpy used to have parties, and Stewie had rocked up. And then, went in for the first day, did some raps, and then when I left at the end, Stewie's like, oh, do you want to stay and like answer phones for me? I need help here. Like, I can't just do it all myself. So like, yeah, I'll come back next week. And then it became a thing. It was more of us just having a drink together. Mm-hmm. So it was just a place for us to have a laugh. You know, we didn't realise at the time how important the formula was. We didn't realise like what it was doing for the scene. Yeah. We're just having a drink. We're just hanging out with each other and letting everyone come to rap. And they were still my friends, like everyone coming in, say Strut or Trem, whatever. But looking back, like we really helped everybody. We really pushed it.
Yeah, me and my friends would listen to that all the time at, parties when we're 14, 15, 16, because that's all the only way you could really, besides going into OBs and buying a piece of Aussie hip hop, that's the only way you could consume.
Well, saying before that, we had Chrissy, so we'd listen to Chrissy. And I ring up and, Chrissy, ring up and do the shout-outs, because I kind of knew Chrissy because my mate Crispin, who I grew up with, his sister's Tiff. Tiff and Chrissy are the graffiti writers, so I kind of knew her through that. They got into the role. I was basically a receptionist.
But do you think that being there helped push your album?
Oh, definitely.
100%,
definitely. Yeah, definitely. But I didn't just play on my own songs there. I'd try not to, but people would request them, I'd play them. But, at that time, I'm doing the radio and I'm getting a job at OB's Records, or when it turned into OB's, when it changed over. And also I was organising all the shows at Revolver back then as well. So it wasn't, sometimes people might look back at Beeswax who didn't grow up on it, and they're like, oh, why was it such a big impact? But it wasn't just the CD, it was everything else I was doing. And it wasn't like I was trying to have my finger in every pie. People were just saying, you should do this or you need to do this. And I just became that person.
For sure. I think now Revolver's got such a reputation of just being like a dance music club place, but people forget, a lot of those early battles and early hip hop gigs when no one else would really give them a place to play. It was definitely a spot.
No one would give you any love. And Camillo, who owns Revolver, he was a Hursty boy.
Oh, wow.
So he always gave me lots of love. He tried to give me a residency, sorry.
And he used to own Lounge as well for a while, didn't he?
I think there was a guy, Carlos, maybe he had a part of that.
Yeah.
I think he has a partner with the Revolver as well. Camilla was always really good to me. I did monthly events, these word burner events, I think in the early 2000s as well. Yeah, they always got me on for the MC comp. That was a good place back then.
There's some people who probably say the highlight of their rap career was when they've battled you in those MC comps,
Yeah, maybe. I only went in two of the competitions, and I was a judge for some of them, and then I became the host when Raph wasn't doing it anymore.
Yeah.
But it was even like weird, like it was the first one, most of us didn't even know what battle rap was. So we just got up and it was just called an MC Championships. We just did verses. That was it. And there was people like, you get people like Trem or Bob Balance. They rap about metaphors and I'm better than you and you're a shit cunt. So that worked for them. So it was perfect for them.
Yeah. When you're a storytelling rapper, it's different.
Yeah, and it wasn't called a freestyle comp either. It was just called MC Championships. So there was no rules to anything. So we didn't even, in the first one, not even realising like, oh, we're meant to freestyle. Well, I didn't anyway because I was always naive to everything. But the weird thing was in the old days where I first did, because Pac Diesel and Reason put me on my first shows at the Cherry Tree.
Oh, yeah, in Richmond.
Which is in Richmond. And they, back then, I might have my name on the bill. I didn't have any songs. I just freestyle over beats, and I was really good at that. Now I can't freestyle for shit. Yeah. I'm lucky to get 8 bars into it, but that's all I used to do.
Yeah, right.
So then once those comps come, I could freestyle, but I'd already lost my skill of being confident doing it.
Was it a mental thing?
I'd just say the same shit over and over, and I just crush.
Okay, yeah. So people hearing it for the first time, they're like, "That's awesome," but then other people are like, "Oh, he did that last week."
Yeah, and I just you just end up saying stupid shit, and stuff you regret saying, or I just don't want to look whack,
Yeah, for sure.
Very particular.
Yeah. So when you got that, how did you get the job at OB's there when it was sort of going through that transition? Just hanging around?
Yeah, I was just hanging around, and because I was doing the radio, I guess it helped as well. I was already mates with Shaz from like 93. It was actually Strat. I think Letha was leaving, and Strat actually said to me, "You get yourself a decent pair of jeans and cut your hair. I'll give you a job."
What was wrong with your jeans?
So I used to wear there just will always be holes. I used to buy just cheap hemp jeans. I was never some fashion guy, you know. I didn't give a shit. And I had like the long curly hair and that. And he just said it's a joke. And actually, you went and cut my hair, and I got a job there.
Awesome.
Clean my act up.
Yeah. Get a haircut and get a real job.
Yeah. It was like that.
So you got the job there, and I guess that you're obviously right in the scene anyway, but then you're consumed in it at nights on the radio show, doing the gigs, and at the shop. It's everywhere. You eat, breathe, and sleep in it.
Yeah, endlessly. But the weird thing there was when I started working there, I'd go home and I wouldn't want to listen to rap anymore.
That makes sense.
Because I've heard so much. So I just go home. Even now, I sit in silence all the time. I don't listen.
Yeah.
I just enjoy that peacefulness.
For sure. And you've got, I guess, kids coming in trying to rap at you, trying to play you their beats, all that stuff. You're like, it's a bit much.
Yeah, did get a bit. Or dudes trying to rob us, you know, that got a bit scary too. But yeah, it was just a great time when everything was bubbling, everything was new, everything was exciting. People weren't against each other. There wasn't the division and the branches going off. Mm-hmm. Everyone was we're a part, everyone was just chipping away at the same rock.
Yep.
Type of thing.
Yeah, because there wasn't really tall poppy syndrome because there was nothing to really aspire to.
No, and the first division was the American accent thing. Mm-hmm. I remember Strat just going, "These cunts are whack." Started dissing them. That's it. Yep. And before that, we all thought it, but no one said it. I remember us going, "Oh, yeah, he's got a point here." You know, it's finally someone stood up for it. You know, because people would always, even now, you're like, "Oh, you rap," and they want to do rap hands at you. It's like, get fucked. I don't. It's such a diss. Like we fought so hard to get our sound and what we did, and no one ever took us seriously. So it's like you don't go up to someone kung fu. "Oh, you go kung fu." It's like fucking get your head kicked in. It's like, but they still do rapper hands at you. It's like fucking stop it.
Yeah.
So that's the passion we had because it was so hard for us to fight for what we had.
To be taken seriously.
And that's why we were so passionate about it, and we loved what it was.
For sure. So then, after the first album is successful, somewhat in that genre, in that scene, so is there pressure for the second album?
People were asking me at that point. My life changed a lot. In '99, I got my hair cut. It was only about 3 months later, my lung collapsed. Yeah. So and that was one of the best things ever happened to me, and I got heaps healthier. And then I started, I was going out a lot. I wasn't smoking weed. There was girls now. It was all exciting. I kind of lost focus because I was just in this happy zone.
It's not good for your rapping when you got one lung down.
Oh, I fixed. Well, it took a couple of weeks. It kind of, or maybe more than a couple of weeks, but took a while to feel normal again. But I was just having a good time, and I sort of lost focus that I should be focusing on the music. Although I was doing some here and there, I wasn't aiming at something. And Stu Bagger had a mate D. And he had a studio, and every time we'd be out and have a few drinks, he'd be like, "Oh, come around the studio, I'll record your next album." I was like, yeah. And then eventually I said yes to it, and that was it took 5 years for that album, between Beeswax and In Bed with Bias.
Wow.
And then it was 5 years between that and Been There, Done That as well, because I was just partying and having a good time too much. Like, that's sort of the life I wasn't popular as a kid, or I wasn't the cool kid or anything like that, or the girls didn't want Bias. But all of a sudden, everyone wants me, and everyone loves me. It was like, this feels great.
Yeah.
So I lost focus on the music at that point.
Yeah, for sure. And you could see how that would happen on a grand scale with people in an international level that get big record deals. They just lose focus. They're like, I'm shit now.
Yeah.
If this is happening on a local level in Melbourne, imagine what happens with people.
And they've got all money as well. They'll be going, fuck, I can buy whatever I want. I wasn't on that tip, but it just felt good. Go to Revolver. I never paid for a drink. Mm-hmm. I'd leave and dudes would be, "Can I have your leftover drink cards?" I'm like, "Yeah, sweet." Yeah. They were just everywhere I went.
Yeah.
Names on door, free drawers. Oh, look. Celebrity, it was beautiful.
Yeah, what they call in America the ghetto celebrity. You're big in your little local area.
Yeah,
yeah, in that scene. Yeah,
never waiting any lines. No, I'm going through the door
for sure. So, do you look back on it? And obviously, you enjoyed that 5-year hiatus. But do you look back now and think I really should have sort of focused more and struck while the iron's hot?
Definitely, yeah. But life is meant to. It is what it's meant to be, and things happen for a reason. And maybe if I'd done something in there, it would have been stupid or not as good. Maybe I don't know.
It's definitely like a balancing act with that, because if you do bring something out 12 months later and it doesn't hit, then people might fall off altogether. It could be a totally different, like the fans. But if the longer you leave them, the more they're wanting more.
Yeah, sometimes depends on your age though. But yeah, I thought the quality and the standard of raps and beats between Beeswax and In Bed with Bias, it's tenfold.
Yeah.
To me anyway. Or the other people I speak to, I was having a conversation with Len one about it. And just the progression of how much better I was at rapping, just the knowledge I understood of making the music. Before that, to me, Beeswax was a demo. I had no idea what I was doing. I'd just go in the studio, Excel would just make some beats on the spot. I'd have some raps in my rhyme book and we'd just make a song out of it.
Yeah.
Where it wasn't like now, I've actually got a focus of how I want it to sound and the direction it's going.
And make it a complete
different.
body of work rather than just a bunch of tracks that I've thrown together.
Yeah.
Did you think about the order that they were going in that, or you're just like, this is?
I always think about the order. But every time, like a year or two after every album I do, I listen back and go, what am I doing in that order for? That song's heaps better. Why was that not at the start? Don't know why.
I think Let It Flow's a good opener.
Oh, that was a good opener for Beeswax, yeah. Overall Beeswax I think went pretty well.
And again, maybe that's your naivety because you didn't overthink it. You just did it, and that
Yeah. Well, even on Evergreen Assault, that was the first. I'd met Strut before. I didn't used to like Strut. I'd sit in the same room with him and Shaz, and I just wouldn't talk to him.
What brought that on?
It was just he was a very confident dude. He'd say, "I'm the sickest basketball player going. I'm the sickest rapper." He'd just tell you, and I wasn't like that. I was kind of intimidating. It was kind of weird. And then we went to do Evergreen Assault, and when Shaz was coming to the studio with me, he said, because he lived with Brad, and they were best mates, he said, can you bring Brad? And I go, I can, but as long as he's well behaved and that, he can come along. And then he came along and he does ho, ho, and he's doing the background stuff, and then we did the rainy days from there.
Yeah.
And from there we just became, we just had to, get to know each other, I guess.
Was it a bit of an alpha male sort of thing? Not really, because you weren't feeling like that?
I kind of found him rude in those days.
But it was confidence, maybe.
Yeah, but it was a confidence. I wasn't used to being around people like that.
Yeah, okay.
Where I was from, you didn't go, I'm the sickest. You go, he's a shit cunt. You just diss everybody. That's got I was very different.
Syndrome.
Yeah, I was very different. Yeah, but I much love to Braddles. He always told it how it was. I wasn't used to that, but you got to respect. He'll tell you how it is always.
For sure. And so the 5 years go, the second album comes out. That's successful as well. Then you decide you want to have another 5-year break.
Yeah, I guess. Well, between Beeswax and In Bed with Bias, there was the Hip Hop Live 12, which that was when I won the Revolver MC comp, so that paid for that.
So and that was then back then you won a pressing, you won a 500. Is that how it was?
The first one there was like $500. There was a PlayStation, some Echo clothing, and something else. And because I was doing gigs at Revolver, and I went and spoke to him, I said, "What you should do? Maybe get a record pressing, get this, get that." And then I went and won all that stuff that I suggested. This is a great idea. That did the hip hop live, and there was also the Boney and Stoney came out as well. So that was and the Formula tape.
Yeah.
So I had done a lot of shit, but I was more doing it. Yeah, I wasn't just focusing on that album.
But it keeps people wanting another solo Bias project, though,
Yeah.
because you are, in theory, just giving them little teasers with bits on the Formula, bits on the radio, and bits on your other collaborative projects.
Well, the Hip Hop Live 12 had Hursty on it, so that became the biggest song from biting someone else's style and someone else's beat.
Yeah.
People liked it more than my own shit, but anyway.
And you could never really put that out legitimately.
No, well, I did have it on Spotify for a long time, and then I thought, I'll probably get in trouble for it. But
So they didn't tell you to pull it?
No, I took it off myself.
I thought maybe...
But then people said to me, you should just put it up there anyway, and they can take 100% of the royalties if they want, because it's your favourite song and it'll make people listen to other shit.
Totally will. And...
Well, I haven't got around to it.
Man, I just presumed that you got flagged with a cease and desist and take this down.
No.
But you just thought you'd get in early, yeah.
But I did do it on the 7, the Hursty 7 that came out.
Yeah. Well, if you're going to press it physically, then they're not going to...
Yeah, cease and desist, it's already ceased, it's already gone, yeah.
It's already done, yeah.
Yeah, digital's weird. But then it makes it a bit more special as well. If you want to have that song, you've got to own it on that bit of plastic.
For sure.
Which are the roots of where it came from, and the digital age sucks.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, man. There's so many songs like that or whatever that I'll go looking for on Spotify because I'll consume music in a lot of different ways and you don't find it. And so I'm now stocking up a lot of old CDs because I know that there's a lot of bootleg stuff that was put out that will never actually make it to streaming services. And that's what kids need to realise. A lot of people throw out all their CDs and send them to the op shop. A lot of the tracks on there you're not going to be able to find in the future.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind, kids.
Yeah, good value.
Yeah. So the third project, the third solo album comes out 10 years later. from
Yeah.
the first one. No. Where are we on the
Hang on,
timeline now?
98, then 2000, 2007 or 2008.
So, 10 years later.
It's 2007, so it's 9 years.
And
But it came out December. It's only like 2 weeks off.
And a lot has changed in the musical landscape in Australia.
absolutely.
And heaps.
Yeah.
And like chalk and cheese to look at where that was when Beeswax comes out to then.
Yeah, well, even then, kind of, it's gone from what we created or what you want to coin as Aussie Hip Hop. By the time you get to been there, done that, you're talking about Triple J hip hop.
Skip hop.
It's different.
That's what they call it.
It's different. That's before you get to like the drill or the grimy hip hop, which again isn't Oz hip hop to us. Oz hip hop to us is like Matty B's Friday and the first Culture of Kings, and it's of an era over time. So it's, lad rap needs its own name as lad rap, or it's kind of everything has its own little branch.
Yep.
But it's not it's not the same umbrella in a way.
But that is the cool thing that, look, there wasn't a genre 25 years ago, and now there's subgenres within the Aussie hip hop banner, which is cool.
But with the scene, I guess the whole change was, of course, Nosebleed section, Hilltop Hoods. When that came out, that just changed everything.
Yeah.
And before that, Downside, we're doing some festivals and making some noise. But when that song came out, that was like the division. It's like, you guys are staying here and the rest of us are going to go for this radio thing.
Yeah.
And then you get your Illies or your horror show, they kind of go for that. No disrespect to them doing their own music. I'm not saying it in that way. But that was like, things changed.
That was a big fork.
So it didn't feel the same at that point. It didn't feel the excitement. I mean, I started writing a book. I got 40,000 words into it. When I got to the part where Shazlik got locked up, I haven't written anything after that. It's like the sad part of it. It wasn't
that was the beginning of the end for you.
Yeah, kind of. It wasn't the energy shifted. It was different. Now it became, you got to make songs for Richard Kingsmill, or you've got to do this, and you got to. It's about the business. It wasn't just about having fun and the music and a good time anymore. You kind of got pushed in this other direction, and it was kind of cringy.
For sure. But look, kids are looking up to people like yourself and seeing that it can be done, and that's what sort of spawns in a roundabout way that whole era, which becomes the Triple J sort of sound. Whether you like it or not, that's kind of what happens.
Yeah, that's just the way it goes.
Someone
you can't hate
it. No, you can't.
I'm not hating. I'm just explaining.
Yeah, for
that's
sure.
Just the way it went.
And then Nosebleed section did change, and like Triple J starts playing that, and I think even like they were doing compilation albums of the week with Aussie hip hop stuff. I think Culture of Kings, the first one, or the second one was a
the
album
first,
of the week. Yeah,
it was the second one because they kept putting the wrong CD in. Yeah. And when they go to play A Love, Ken Oath was on the other one, so it'd be like a number 5 on the CD. They always fucked them up. But yeah, they started to embrace it, Triple J. But then it became the only thing people wanted to do. And, even still to this day, I just love making the music. I don't give a fuck about the rest of it.
But when there's not a platform, you can't help but understand that people want more people to consume their music.
Yeah, well, why not make money off it? It makes sense.
Well, you've got PBS where you might get played on a Saturday night and you might be people local to Melbourne. But if you go on a national radio, there's all of a sudden that opens up a whole new market. So it makes sense, but then what comes first, the chicken or the egg? Do people make music to get that, or do you want to get your music out on that platform? That's the problem.
Well, I guess for me and people of my era, we grew up on the Big Daddy Kanes and the Rock M's and the Cool G raps, the lyrical shit. It wasn't kind of that, I don't know, safe type of music. I still love my underground hip hop. That's kind of what I go to and gives me that feeling. Like your Kanye's and your Jay-Z's, that's kind of, it's not as underground. No. It doesn't make me feel the same. It doesn't take me to that same place.
For sure. So when you're working at Obese at this stage when Pegs takes over?
Yep.
And so then it sort of morphs from just a record shop into a record label and a record shop.
It became a record label before Pegs. So Culture of Kings 1, Matty B, Struts Authentic, and Reason Solid had all come out, I think, around the time Shaz got locked up. And that's when Pegs took it over from there. So it was already a label, but Pegs just took it to another level.
He saw the potential?
He had a good eye and an ear. Like, he saw Hilltop Hoods. He knew what it was going to be. And his work ethic, even after they blew up and they were selling fucking ridiculous amounts of... He was still there at 9 o'clock every day. He'd leave at 4 or 5. He was there every day working. I would have been off just fucking holiday somewhere. Yeah. But he grinded.
So at that stage, Obese was probably the only major, well, not major, but the biggest label doing that sort of stuff. So people were literally just bombarding you guys with music.
Well, it was pretty much the only label.
Yeah.
I think Elephant Tracks had come out later, which in Sydney after that. I think at the time my first thing was on Wild Child Productions. And my plan was to like make that bigger and sign people, but dudes from the actual graph crew were like, "Oh, I shouldn't use the name." So I kind of changed it, and I didn't really focus in that direction. Obese was the main one.
And do you remember like people coming in there, literally dropping off CDs
All the time, people giving demos or.
But did you or Pegs find anybody like decent through that way? Like, how does someone like the Hoods come onto his radar when
The truth is, you already know who's good.
Okay.
You've already heard their names if they're good. And back like these days, you could go to a gig and there could be 20 dudes get on stage and only 2 of them could be good. Not saying that I go out that much, but just as a reference. Back then, like everyone was good.
Yep.
Bob Balance was good, Strut was good, Trem was good, Reason was good, Pack, like everyone was good. If you were shit, you didn't get on stage. But then, as people started, I guess here and there, people might have got heard more, but if you want to be good, don't just try and give it to someone else and hear you take me along. Go out and get the gigs yourself.
You can now.
Make it happen yourself.
Yeah.
Push your shit on YouTube. I don't know. I thought it funny. I remember a dude came in. He said, "Oh man, I got this fucking demo. You need to listen to it." Go cool. He goes, "Oh," I said, "I'll leave it when Shaz gets back and I'll have it." He go, "No, I'm not leaving here, man. You dudes bite my shit." Like, are you serious? The guy was so like serious that he go, "No, I'm not even leaving it because you're just like, this is too good. You're gonna bite my shit." And disappeared. What are you tripping on, bro?
Yeah, crazy. But I guess at that stage when it becomes a label, after Triple J do start fucking with the Hoods and everything, then it's a different game altogether.
Yeah.
So you guys are going from selling CDs in the shop to selling CDs like across JB Hi-Fi. That's got to be like a
that helped the JB at that point. Like you do, your CDs coming out pre-sales. There's already 2,000 pre-sale that have already gone out. Yeah. It's $10 a CD. That's a good earner. They haven't even come out yet. This is great. And then you do a round of shows or the vinyl, whatever. It was CDs. It's sad these days that people bring something out for Spotify. You've got to have 500,000 listens to make you $1,000 back or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Back then, the CDs were really good.
Yeah, and then the whole shift of hip hop is changing and then do you feel like you're kind of like, well, I don't want to make this commercial stuff. If it gets played, it gets played. But if it doesn't, I don't care because I'm not making it for that.
Yeah, well, it sort of go through a stage as well where you go, I don't want to keep making the same shit because it gets boring.
Yeah.
So you go, a thing for me was I noticed like if you're doing really slow tracks, everyone's just standing there looking around like, oh, this is kind of boring. And it's like, oh, I want some fast-paced shit, something. That's sort of where the been there, done that came from or just some exciting, faster shit. Then sometimes it's harder to rap faster on stage. But, so and the music changed as well, like stuff you're listening to. Around when I was doing the formula with Stubacker, we'd get sent all these promo CDs. He'd take all like the good shit, and I'd be giving the Snoop Dogg and the West Coast shit. So actually, before that, I never listened to Snoop. I didn't appreciate it, and then I start to listen to this shit and go, "Oh, this is all right." And there's a bit of singing in the songs, and I don't mind this.
Yeah.
So that's kind of and that changes what you're listening to as well.
For sure. And then all of a sudden, not only is the music changing, but production's becoming easier. Computers are much more readily available.
Definite.
People can record with a USB microphone. It makes everyone can rap if they choose to.
Yeah.
Changes everything.
Yeah. Made it much easier.
Yeah. But for someone like you that was doing it previously, it just, I guess, it dilutes the pool because there's a lot of other rappers out there that are fighting for that spot,
Yeah. Yeah. Also, with the technology, it's kind of like when people say, you can go out and buy a fucking $10,000 camera. Doesn't mean you're going to be a good photographer.
Yeah.
You can take a shitty and still take good photos. So it's not, people get all the equipment and think they're going to make a good song. It's not going to make it better. Mm-hmm. Sometimes the grittiness and the simpleness, the simplicity of it is what makes it so good.
Yeah.
I think that's what works with beeswax. And the way it sounds, it's not overproduced or over-processed. It's just that's what was so good for it.
Yeah, and for years in the 80s and early 90s, people made amazing hip hop with very limited, production equipment with just SP12s and that sort of thing. So it goes to show you that you don't need the technology, but it does help new artists, record shit and put it out there.
Yeah.
So when you're making these records and then Obese now has morphed into more of a label and the shop kind of becomes secondary to an extent, I guess, how much money are you making from paint and selling a few CDs when you're pushing the label? Does that change the way that the business is focused and how are you still working there at that time?
Yeah, well, I quit. There was a stage where, just for the info, there was Obese Records. Dudes started coming in before Shaz got locked up. Dudes coming in to rob us. Pegs and Solomon were employed to stand over people, so that wouldn't happen anymore.
Wow.
So that's sort of where that went from. And when once the label opened, and that was up the road, so we still had the shop, but there was a label, and Peg said to me, "Do you want to come work at the label?" First said, "Do you want to be the manager of the shop?" And I said, "No, I don't want to do that." And I said, "I think Frank's a better dude for the job."
Yeah.
I think Muff might have also been around at that time. So I went up. I was packing the boxes, and I loved it. We're in this great big warehouse thing, and it was a good time then. That was probably the best time of Obese for me. Before after Obese, so that was the nicest. Yeah, around the calling time.
Yep.
Around the 2006ish, 2007.
Yeah. And then
So there was a lot of the focus was then on the label, not so much the shop.
and you were cool with that?
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess you don't have the annoying customers. You can still listen to whatever music you want and you're hanging around with people and you're still talking about creative
Yeah, it's
shit.
peaceful, except the sound of the fucking tape gun.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah.
It wasn't good for the ears. Even now when I pack shit and I bring out a record, I chuck headphones on, noise cancelling, not even on, just so they're covering my ears so I don't hear
You get
that shit.
PTSD from the tape gun.
Yeah. Instant, that ting,
Yeah.
go away.
It's like a nails down a blackboard
Yeah,
type
yeah.
scenario.
And that's Hilltop Hood's fault because they just sold so many CDs.
So what was it? Was there any forecast that could they have anticipated, like even with Pegs's best intentions, would he have anticipated how many records that they would have sold or how much play?
I think he did.
You
The
reckon
rest
he
of us
knew?
didn't, but I reckon he knew. He just I don't know if it's like he's got a little angel on his shoulder or something. He just like things work for him. He does. It's
So you reckon he knew?
maybe it's just the work ethic. Yeah,
Yeah.
there used to be this underage gig called Run Amok, which was AC/DC Lane at Cherry Bar in the city.
Yep.
And I remember he was bringing Hilltop Hoods over, and he asked me to organise the gig with him, do this Hilltop Hoods, and I was like, "Oh, it's not really my thing, if you do it." And he was already like back then, just he said, "I think they're going to be really big, and they're a great act," and he just pushed them and got right behind them.
Yeah. And then it becomes the label, and then once the hoods blow up, then you're like for a while that label almost had the Midas touch, which whoever they put on kind of got the radio play and became the next big artist for a couple of years.
And they because they had like Heaps Good with Muff and Platonic. There was a lot of good shit coming out at
Draft.
that time.
Yeah,
Draft
yeah.
with the not Power Rider, the Brothers Grimm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so with Jimmy Ricard, that was at the same time, so that was going really well for them.
And
Just
it
couldn't
was an
lose.
exciting time for Aussie hip hop, or just Aussie music, because people were listening to stuff that was presumed to be underground. But then the negative side of it is you get a lot of copycat stuff and you got a lot of crappy music that comes out.
Yeah, well, that's just the way it goes.
That's the way it goes.
Happens the same in graffiti. Like back in our days, everyone had to do a different piece and really like push it. And then it gets to the point, if you've got some dude who's king of the line, but he's not actually a king compared to the rest, everyone copies that person. And then before you know it, Being Toy becomes the new king. So it's the same with the music. Like people, if shit music is pushed to you and like that's a big thing, everyone goes, "Well, that's all right. That's the sound."
Yeah.
But maybe I'm just hating because I'm old,
You're kind of talking about the anti-style sort of thing.
Yeah, kind of. It just, it's...
But anything has to go full circle, because if things just keep going the way that they go, they don't reset. Do you know what I mean? Like I think with the graffiti stuff in the mid 2000s, everything got so perfect. There's specific caps, specific paint. Everything got so perfect that stripped back raw, anti-style thing kind of had to happen to reset it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, kind of. Well, it's good anyway. If you've got stuff that's not as good, you appreciate what you had, or, you look at, everything's got its place. I don't hate on anything. They're just everyone's got their own passion and their own idea of what's good and what's not and what they want to be and how they want to present themselves. Yeah. If I don't like it, I just don't look at it. If I don't want to listen to something, I just don't listen. There's no point hating on it.
That's it, man. But the thing is, if you don't change what you do and you keep doing what you do, eventually it'll become in vogue again because things just go in cycles.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like kids now are dressing like it's 1996 again. And if you don't change that, then you're always kind of on trend.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I guess so.
So what about Burn, man? So you've been rocking Burn for quite a while.
Yeah.
Been a big supporter your whole sort of journey, well, the last 20 years at least.
Yeah, well, I grew up with Puz. So I've even had some T-shirts of his before it became Burn. He was doing puzzle T-shirts.
Yep.
So I've still got some in storage in plastic I never actually wore. But and I was friends with Brendan as well, Flick, and they started with the Skies. So Skies was, the first person I ever looked at as a full king. Yeah. He was fucking dope. I've stayed, I'm still friends with Puz and Brendan, still speak to them. Puz isn't a part of it anymore. Mm-hmm. He left a while back. Just good. I just love what they did for Melbourne. It was a good brand. It's just your people and just feels good.
Mm. On that, we'll get back onto your journey, but on that, it just made me think of something. The Word 'em Up Wednesdays, man, are you bringing them back?
Well, I thought about it. It was on a good thing, and then I had a few health things that were pissing me off, and I was a bit like, I wasn't really feeling that positive, and I was just like, I'll give it a bit of a break, and then weeks passed and week passed, and I'll be like, fuck. But some days it'll be like, it's Wednesday, and I'm just, I'm at home, I made a coffee, and I look, and it's fucking 9 o'clock, and I'm like, oh, fuck. I meant to do a Word 'em Up Wednesday, like the pressure, and I quickly digging through my photos, and I go through my list, because I had a list of people, like I've still got probably about 20 or 30 I didn't get to.
Yeah.
And then I have to, check it, and then I post it, and that's nice. It was quite a bit of effort. Yeah. But I actually have to really... So one time when I was actually a bit, I was homebound for a bit, and I did about 3 or 4 in advance. Then Wednesday come, and I just go, I already had you there. Yeah. But that's, did I do Brendan in Word 'em Up Wednesday?
Yeah,
I did
think
Puz.
you did. Yeah.
Puz is upset that I posted his photo. He doesn't like that. He likes to be...
Yeah. But you did, and I used to look forward to them on a Wednesday and see like, all right, who's he shouting out today?
Sorry.
Bring him back, man. We want him back again.
Well, eventually, the idea at first was that I do all these people, and then I'll pass it on, and someone else can do the same thing.
Yeah.
But I thought I was going to come back, but I just didn't get to that point. So maybe I will.
Yeah, you should.
There's also another thing I was going to do before Word 'em Up Wednesday, which is like bias life hacks. Because just like simple things about fucking what razors to use or insoles in your shoes, just shit you don't know, and then someone shows you, like, oh man, that's fucking great. Changed my life.
Bias life hacks. Yeah. But you have to do that on a different day. You can't do it on a Wednesday.
No. Yeah. But I was going to do that, but I didn't end up. I don't want to spend all my time on Instagram. I don't want to spend my time on YouTube. Like I want to go for a walk and just look at the water.
Yeah, but you're an established artist that's obviously been doing it for a long time, so you don't need to build that fan base. You've got it there and they ride with you. But for newer brands and newer artists, that it's just a necessary evil, and it sucks that you have to play the Instagram game, but you do.
Yeah. They just spend their life on it. It's the same like I won't repost someone's shit, and they'll be like, oh, you didn't like post my album. I didn't even see it. Because I spend a lot of my time making music or trying to make beats or listening to my own shit to perfect it for when I get to the studio, and I often don't have time to listen to everyone else's shit. I forget, or I'll turn Instagram on with a cup of tea, and I've scrolled about 5, 6 pictures. I'm just like, oh fuck, put that down. Don't look at it.
Yeah, I know.
Go and try and make a beat.
Yeah.
I want to do something creative or do an outline or learn more guitar. I just doing this just wasting my life away.
It is. It's true.
I hate it.
So with the production stuff, what kind of production equipment are you using? And when you're not writing raps and you're making beats, what's your sort of motivation with that?
Well, I go in waves. I use Machine to make beats.
Yep.
Lazy, I just watch Lazy use MPC many times, or I think Checkers on Fruity Loops back in the day. And I'm no great beat maker. 1 out of 20 probably come out good. But I go through waves. Like I want to make beats, and then I'm not inspired to do beats, and then I'm learning more guitar. And then I'm like, oh, I don't want to do that. And then something inspire me to rap again. And then I'll, write raps for the next 3 weeks. And then sort of, not hit a wall, but just sort of all of a sudden I feel like drawing now. Mm-hmm. So I kind of go in ways of creativity of maybe I'll go back to the book and write a bit of that. Mm-hmm. But there's always something to keep me going. But I never stick to one thing.
And that's healthy as well, because
Yeah.
that's how you get writer's block. If you sat there and said, I'm just going to finish this book, you may not be doing anything creative.
Yeah. And then you're just staring at the screen.
Yeah.
So so I'll go in waves, and I think that's what makes me happy. And then maybe I just want to cook for a couple of days and I don't want to do anything, or I'll just catch up on what P. Diddy's doing on YouTube, have a bit of a giggle, But even then, same, I'm just sitting there, I just turn it off. I'm just like, just stop sitting here. I don't want to.
Well, that's the problem with, YouTube and social media, is that there is no end to it. You'll just sit there and just get down the rabbit hole, and that's the worst part about it.
They should be great, every year they just go, it's 1 week, no internet. They just cut it off for a week. Just so people go, oh, fuck, walk outside and let's play. Let's fucking go kick a football. Let's do something.
That would be good,
It'd
wouldn't
be
it?
really good for everyone's mental health. And I don't know how the kids would deal with all this shit, like trying to fit in, because when you're a kid, you want to be popular, you want to be kind of cool, and you're just like, well, that person's got 1,000 followers, I've only got 2. I don't really care anymore.
Yeah.
It's nice to have followers, but I can imagine for kids it'd be pretty tough.
Yeah, for sure. It's like a fucking popularity contest measuring stick on your phone staring at you in the face every time you log on.
Yeah. And who can look coolest and post the most shit and waste most of their life on the screen.
But that's the thing. But look,
But it's a new life.
social media is great if you already do stuff that's interesting and you can use that to push what you do. Say, for instance, your music, this podcast, whatever. But when people are just trying to put their lives out there and they don't have anything that they're actually doing, they're just doing it for the sake of doing social media, that's detrimental to someone's mental health.
Yeah,
For sure.
for sure.
You mentioned footy, so I'm going to use that as a segue into the Hunter Cup, man. And obviously,
Okay.
Hunter was someone who was a mate of yours, but that was a pretty. It must be a special sort of time to get everyone together and play those games in his sort of memory.
Yeah, it was wonderful.
Yeah.
It was when he passed away, I organised a wake type of thing in Melbourne, just near the MCG, because he loved footy. I loved his fucking Fremantle Dockers. I always dissed him about the purple, and I was always... Hunter was a dude I always dissed. I actually said more nasty shit to him, and he said it to me, the nice things.
Yeah. But that's how you know your mates.
Yeah. We'd just be like walking home just from a gig, 2 a.m. in the morning, and who am I going to call? Call Hunter. He's in Perth. It's only like 10 o'clock there. You fucking just... It was funny. So we had this really funny relationship that went on. But after he passed, we had a wake outside the MCG, and we're kicking the ball together. And I think Briggs turned around and said, we should do like a game every year or something. He just went, Bias, you're the dude that should organise that. And I was like, as always, Bias, you should, because
You should do it, yeah.
I just have talent in things of organising people. So we started putting it together. Deadly, Heater and Stewbacker were also a big help in that to get it happening.
Yep.
I'd never organised a footy game before. And, that was like, I remember the feeling the first time it was at Glenferrie, the first game, and everyone had their jumpers on, ran out in the field, and just like, I was almost about to cry, just the tingles inside of me, just like, wow, this is like a movement. This is fucking great.
Yeah.
Couldn't believe we'd pulled this together. And then just the game was so great. And, But then after a few people got injured. So it's like, Heater had done his shoulder. My mate Crispin got knocked out cold by alerts in the first game.
Yeah.
So I believe he's getting a bit old for the injuries, but the training every weekend, that was great. The friendships made through it. There was dudes who used to be super overweight. They go to gym now, like Optimus is full healthy as fuck, and dudes who used to smoke durries, they got off it. Dudes who had drug habits.
Yeah.
It really helped a lot of people to even people who didn't fit in with others, and they came in and, all of a sudden they're a part of this crew.
Camaraderie, yeah.
Yeah. So it became a very special thing for everyone. The only regret is that we didn't do it while he was still alive, just for him to see one game or just a part of it. And it was weird that every game we had, the end of the game in that last 10 minutes, the rain came down. Yeah. It was the same thing. It was almost like Hunter crying because he's about to lose.
Oh, wow, that's deep, man.
But, I was like, and also we raised money for Make-A-Wish Foundation. So we raised just under, I was like a couple of $100 off $100,000.
Wow.
So everyone donated and we had the T-shirts and it was all to raise money for a good cause.
So you're raising almost 100K, you're bringing people together, you're making people lose weight, you're making people get off the bongs or the whatever. Mm-hmm. So it's nothing but positivity.
Yeah, nothing, yeah.
Except Heater did his shoulder.
Yeah. And Crispy got knocked out, but he always knocks himself out. That's all right. He goes hard. It just and the fitness of it, it just felt really good. And again, it wasn't for any reward of my own. I have this thing. Even when I go to Brisbane, I'm just like, dudes haven't seen each other for ages. I'll have dinner and everyone just gets together and I get to see everyone. I kind of just have this habit of bringing people together.
Yeah, you're a connector.
Yeah, I think it's because I always sat on the fence and I never chose sides.
Yeah.
You know, when there's division in shit, it's like, it's not my beef. I don't have an opinion. You're my mate. We'll just...
Yeah. No, and that's a good way to be. Even with this thing, people come in, I didn't really like this person you had on, or that guy you got next week, I don't like. I'm like, I'm mates with everyone. I'm not going to get involved in your shit.
I'm involved.
No,
Yeah.
it's not.
And also with the Hunter Cup, there was like Activate Physio. They put a lot. They, put the most money. They were from Perth each year to help, because a lot of money. You got to pay for the Pope forms, and you got to pay for insurance and whatever. Public liability. It's it costs like 10 to 20 grand just to put a fucking game on. I didn't know that at the start. I had no idea. And then, people kept going to the physio, so then they became, they sort of became a part of the crew as well. Elephant Tracks always put money down, so much respect to Earth Boy for doing that as well.
Yep.
But it was just everyone, it was good, everyone coming together and people that had beef who weren't mates playing on the same team and shaking hands and like just letting shit go. It was great to see that.
For sure. And when you look at that lineup of people you had, when you look at the teams, it's pretty phenomenal. Crazy.
It was good. I'm very thankful to everyone who actually put their bodies on the line, put their money on the line to fly over here to see it, to be a part of it, and all the people, the supporters as well that came to watch it.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful thing.
For sure. And I think it's a shame, like you said, that he didn't get to see that, but it also that it takes something tragic to make people sort of think we should do something like that, So someone out there should organise something like that again.
So if I'm dying, someone else can organise it for me. Yeah.
A few people owe you one.
Yeah.
100%.
No, I'm owed nothing. People, I've got a lot of love for people. People have been good to me. I'm owed nothing. I feel I don't owe anyone anything.
Yep.
And I'm not owed anything.
No. Man, are you happy with where the sort of, like we mentioned before, hip hop is in a much different place? Mm-hmm. Do you think that there is still really good Aussie hip hop? Are you concerned with the direction it's going? Like, what do you think about the landscape in 2024?
I think there's great hip hop out there. You've just got to look for it. Depends what you want. I found a lot of kind of what the scene went to. You kind of went to your lad rap. Then it's kind of, the drilly grime type of shit people are doing. And then you got this like depression rap. And everyone's, I'm mental illness. And it's kind of, they listen to too much Eminem and they sort of took that on.
Yeah, okay.
And a lot of people saying now, they're going, oh man, it doesn't feel like it used to and this and that. It's because when we're doing what I coin as the Oz hip hop, it was happy and it was fun and we're having a good time. They tried to call it barbecue rap. You have a good time at a barbecue. When everything gets fucking depressed and all that, I can't listen to shit like that because I don't want to feel that way.
Yeah.
Whatever I feed my mind with is going to feed my emotions and the way I feel. So I avoid that.
For sure. But I think that's you as a person. And some people, even people I've had on this show, have been through some really traumatizing times and they get through it by writing that sort of stuff.
Yeah, and it helps them. And it helps others who go through that thing, yeah. So there's a place for everything.
Yeah.
It depends what you want and what you're looking for.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess it's harder when you've sort of had a halcyon period of certain kinds of music and you hold that up high. It's hard to sort of, the newer stuff happens and you're like, oh, that's not for me. But if you were 16 now and you heard that, maybe it would speak to you. It's just a different time.
Oh, it was like when we heard Ghetto Boys and they fuck them all and they're saying, oh, do this to a girl. Oh, this is sick. I love this shit. But now you listen back and I can't kind of listen to this anymore.
It is different.
Yeah.
But the whole thing with that, and even with the Eminem stuff, is like people put this persona on and they're making art. That doesn't necessarily mean that's what they wanted to in real life.
Yeah, well, I saw a doco about Ghetto Boys, and they pretty much, to write their music, it's shock value. They'd get the newspaper, they'd read crime that had happened, or some girl got raped and got a gun pulled on her, and they go, I'm going to put that into a verse. And that's how they were writing their shit.
Yep.
So that's sort of what they went, a bit of shock value to...
For sure. But like even just yourself saying your first rap had Uzis in it or whatever, that just goes to show that people do emulate art that they hear. So I guess there is almost a duty of care with some artists that are big enough to not give real negative stuff because that's just going to be perpetuated with the young kids that try and copy them.
Well, I remember hearing a thing about 1-4 where they weren't allowed to do all the gigs to the cops. And then people saying, oh man, it's just music. It doesn't cause you to, it doesn't mean you're going to go out and do that. We saw the movie Colours, everyone started wearing bandanas. We saw the movie Beat Street, we started doing graffiti. It makes you do shit.
It does.
If besides you're not going to kill a person, maybe you will. Like there's a level of where your moral compass there's only so far you can take it. But you watch these things, even like Scarface. How many dudes want to be Tony Montana? They still do.
I honestly think that Scarface has got a lot to answer for like the coke issues in the
Yeah,
world. I
fuck
think
yes.
that glorified it, where people go, it's actually cool. Just come to the bathroom. We're just gonna, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah, but all like it does do that.
Yeah.
You can't say it doesn't. If you're gonna make songs about shooting people, people are gonna listen to your shit and they're gonna shoot people.
So is there a duty of care, or is the artist just allowed to make the art that they want to make?
Well, here's the other thing: you can have a movie and you can show what you want. You can have a book, and this book can be about anything you want. But as soon as you do it in a song, people are like, "Oh, you can't say that." Why? What's the difference with the song?
Yeah.
You know, you can have all the killing you want in the movies, but if you made a song about raping people for a whole album, there could be a movie about someone that got raped, and that's fine. So it's kind of weird.
It is weird. I think it's because most music comes
I'm not
from...
saying you should make music like that because no, please don't.
No, I don't.
Please
But
don't.
I think
Just an example.
yeah, music comes from generally a first-person perspective, and that's when, with a lot of that kind of rap that we're talking about, they came up with characters that they sort of played, which is the way that they got around that stuff.
Yeah, like Eminem with the Slim Shady.
Slim
I'm playing a
Shady.
character, yeah.
Exactly. Or like Necro with whatever he got, he's not doing that stuff, you know what I mean? People come up with these little characters, and that's how they get the loophole around it, I guess.
Yeah. Well, it's also comedy. And same with a comedian. You can say anything you want and it's a joke. But if you say the same shit in a song, they're going to go, nah, man, you can't say that.
Yeah.
And they want to cancel you for it. It's like, but it was just comedy. I was just having a joke.
There's kids now, like millennials, that want Eminem to be cancelled for stuff that he said in the 2000s. And like, all right, that is wrong, and some of the stuff that he did say was wrong, but can't we understand that some people can learn? He doesn't do that anymore. It's 20 years later. Do we want to cancel people for that, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
No.
I think people stop getting so upset over everything.
Yeah. Well, that's the problem, and without sounding like what's the word? Someone who's not empathetic, but yeah, people get their feelings hurt way too easy.
Yeah. We grew up in a tougher time. Like me growing up, you paid out on each other, which was you diss each other, or that was it. It's like I'll give you shit and you're trying to give me shit back, and I'm trying to beat you. That's sort of what we done.
But that's how you show, for males, right?
Yeah.
A lot of males, that's how you show that you're good friends and you show love for them,
Yeah, absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
So if you're painting a wall and you go, oh, that outline's pretty fucked, and they can have a laugh about it, then they go, yeah, he's all right.
Yeah.
That's how,
Yeah,
it sounds
it's
messed up.
like an endearing thing.
It is.
It's even when like back in the days where you've got your WOG mate or your Greek mate, and it wasn't a diss. But now you're not allowed to say this stuff, and it's it wasn't. It's from where it's coming from. It's not from a mean place. It was more of a friendly place, and you're my mate, and I can talk to you like that because you talk to me like that because we're so close.
Yeah.
It's not like that anymore.
No, but I'd like to think that hopefully people can become a little bit more thick-skinned and it can go full circle like a lot of things do, and that can kind of come back because the world's going to get so unbelievably woke that no one's allowed to do anything.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that's what happens.
We'll see.
We'll see.
Well, for me, I see it as like back in the day. If you go to medieval days and shit, the torture and everything they did to people, even the way people were incarcerated back in the day was horrific.
Yeah.
And society, we're trying to make it better and better as we go. And we're trying to be nicer and we're trying to include everyone, whether it be people who gays, whatever, any of your LGBT, any of it. You're just trying to not make people feel shit anymore and people happier. Mm-hmm. But that little bit of ribbing your mate, kind of you lose that. That was kind of, I don't know how I'm trying to go with it.
No, it was very
It
entrenched.
was something special.
Yeah.
Like I don't know you well, but if a week from now we're at Revolver or something, go, where'd you get those pants from? To get them off, the missus' clothesline or something. You have a joke and we're like, oh, we can joke like this now. This is good.
Exactly. Yeah. That's how you build rapport, and that's how you know where you stand within the.
And now you can't. I remember saying to my kid, and I go, oh, that'll look good on you. Somewhere in some shop, and he walked off and cried, and I was like, what? Yeah. God, I didn't want to wear. It's like, it was a joke, mate. I'm trying to it was fun.
But that is a thing. I think
you got to choose who you. I guess you got to pick your audience.
Yeah. But it's sad that kids are going to not have that thick skin anymore. That that tears are going to happen when they need to. I think they just need to be prepared a little bit more because life's not always going to be amazing, and you need to have that sort of thick
life's
skin.
tough.
Yeah,
it's very tough. The older you get, the more you realise how tough it is.
Yeah,
especially in these times. But yeah, as well. Like I don't get any enjoyment in making somebody feel bad. I don't want to hit somebody to hurt them. I don't want to say words that offend them unless they've done it back to me. Mm-hmm. It doesn't. So if I'm making a joke in that way or I'm saying certain things, it's all like from a heart place. It's not like mean.
Yeah. When you say something like that to someone, you want them to have a giggle, you have a giggle, everyone feels good about themselves.
Yeah, and we're closer. We're like, that's how, I have a lot of friends because I can talk to people like that.
For sure.
But then you have a friend where we'll get upset about some shit and you'll just be like, oh, what's up with you?
And that's when you know.
I thought we were we're not kind of the same, you and I.
We're a bit different. So what's coming up with new music, man? Have you got anything else coming out?
Oh, I've got heaps.
You do?
Yeah, I've pretty much got 3 albums I could release if I master. If I wasn't mastering right now, I could bring them out. But then I've got so many songs now, I'm just like, well, they're kind of old now. And I keep doing new songs, and I've been doing an album pretty much with Checkers as well.
Yep.
And then another one with him and Crave, and it's just there's just so much shit. And then it's like I don't know what direction. I'm almost at the end of them. And then I thought, do a double album. But no one wants to hear that because you get too many songs at once. You don't appreciate it. So it's picking the best song. So I was going to bring out 3 albums this year, but then a few health things at the start of the year that put me back a little bit. So I'll at least get 1 out. But there is shit coming.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just keep, there's so much. I've got so many songs sitting there.
Even when you think you're going to stop, you can't.
No. Well, my favourite thing is lately I just go to Checkmate's joint, rock up in the studio. He starts making a beat. I think of a concept, start writing the shit. By the time he's made the beat, I go in and I record my verse. By the time I finish recording my verse, he does his. You go home, you wake up the next day, you got this brand new thing that you didn't have the day before.
Amazing.
So we've done that many, many times now and just keep building on it. There's no focus, we have to bring this out. We have to do a film clip with this, nothing. You just making music. Mm-hmm. And you listen back and, each 1 out of 5 where you go, that's one of the really good ones.
Mm-hmm. But it helps with him because he can make the beat, record it, mix it, master it, and you're done.
Yeah, and we've known each other for 20 to 30 years, and we're born on the same day.
Yeah.
So we're even more special.
Do you remember when you first met him?
I actually met Checkers. There was a gig in Sydney called Battlestar Galactica, which was some Sydney rappers. I went up with Reason to just do a 2 verses with him, and I sold 2 Bs. First 2 Bs I'd sold one to my mate Woodsy I live with, but the first 2 CDs I'd actually sold outside of OBs, or my housemate was MC Trey from Sydney, and this guy Checkmate that came up.
How much were they back then?
$20 probably sold the CD, and then he took it back to Canberra because that's where he was from, and he goes to his mates, this is what we're up against. We've got to be better than this.
So he used that as a benchmark?
Yeah, so that was like the benchmark and inspiration for him and his mates to bring out their Stormwater Hospice Crew thing.
Mm-hmm. Amazing.
And then I didn't remember him at that time, but then when we were doing the formula, he came in with his mate Air and did some raps. Because he couldn't come in. He did some rap, was all about the letter P. Can't remember what it was, some pa.
Have you got the recording of it?
No, I don't have. There's probably one out there, but I don't have it. So I met him, and then I guess it was just gigs and being at Obese around that time, and then I went overseas. I spent a month or 2 with him in Europe and toured all around the country with him, and
for sure. When you're in Europe and stuff, and you tell people you rap and you're from Australia, do they get it, or you just don't tell them?
Just don't usually tell them. Just don't. Yeah, because then they want you to rap at them. It's not kind of, people would find it weird. It was funny with the Checkers one. Dude said, who's the better rapper? And he go, I'm the better rapper. He's just the more famous one. I'll go with that. This Checkers really fucking good.
He's great, man.
Yeah. How's the thing he did on here with all the, it blew up.
For sure. Man, they got 30,000 views and so many comments that he couldn't reply to them, and they said you've been spammed too much. Yeah,
it's what he did all the word 'em ups, because the thing where Lazy had all these comments, and I'm going, Lazy, I think Checkers going to beat you, and then I realised Checkers responded to every comment that was on it.
He knows.
You're cheating, Checkers. You're cheating. But no, it was good. But yeah, it was really good to see. He's like, man, I don't know, I went viral. Dudes loved it. It's because it was good.
It was good.
It was great.
It's good to see him, because obviously he is a rapper, but he's more now known for being behind the other side. Mm-hmm. So when he comes out and just lays it down like that, people pay attention. Mm-hmm. And it was sick. Mm. And I'd love you to do one, but I don't think you want to.
Well, I can if you want. We could have done one beer. We can do a rap afterwards if you want.
For sure. That'd be sick. Yeah. How do you feel about people that sort of give you the Johnny Farnham of Aussie Hip Hop title because you keep coming back?
Look, I got sick of the scene, the whole business, when just all the Triple J shit. And then I was always writing bits and pieces, but it's my wife going, you've got to do it. Just go and do more shit. Mm-hmm. And that's when I bought out Backburners because all these old songs. Then it's like, well, why do some old shit if you can do some new shit? Mm-hmm. And then I guess just got inspired from then. I didn't come back. Some dudes, you came back to try and make some money and that. It's like, man, there's no money to be made where I'm at, bro. Like, yeah, sure you can, like, no big money. You can still, you can still get some money. But, it was never about that. It's just my love of, I just love recording a song and just listening back and just that creativity part of it. I just love that.
For sure. And creating something.
So they can call me whatever they want. I don't care. I'm too old to give a shit.
That's it, man.
I'm too old. I don't care.
But that's the thing people do, and I guess you get it because you're pretty recognisable, that people would be like, you make heaps of money from that. But people don't understand, man. In local rap, there's not much money, if any money, to be made. You're lucky if you break even and sell and make a little bit for your time.
Yeah, well, I was luckier than a lot because I was there early for an underground sense. You know,
sure.
I don't got into that hilltop hood money. And then, so, you get messages from people sometimes. They'll be, oh, man, fucking disrespectful, fucking, I helped fucking buy that house that you live in. And it's like, well, what house that I bought? What are you talking about? And they just have this image if you drive around in these fucking great cars and it's like, it ain't like that, bro. No. Like maybe 1 in every 50 might succeed in that way.
Yeah. And a lot of those people, look, you've been in the game for a long time, but a lot of these people that do make money, there's no longevity in that.
No.
You know?
No. They're going to be very smart with their money, invest it or hold on to it, you know.
Or then do something else within the music industry because, look, realistically, off streams and selling 300 records every couple of years, you're not going to buy a house.
No. Unless you're doing a whole lot of shows. Or, that's why CDs were so good. They cost $3 to make. You could sell them for $10 to $14 sometimes, you know. Yeah. That's wholesale to the shops.
Yeah, $20 to checkmate. Yeah. It's a good margin on that.
That was great. But even it's even like when you do vinyl now, the cover costs you more than the actual wax cost.
Yeah. The gatefold and all that sort of stuff,
Yeah, or just the cover. It'll cost you a couple of dollars more. And then, you've got to have enough. I feel vinyl's coming back. Mm-hmm. But then
CDs are going to come back, I think. Really?
Yeah, I've held on to mine. I didn't get rid of any of them. I just keep chipping away doing my thing just because I enjoy doing it. It's not about how much I can make or I just love doing the music.
For sure. And that's the thing. You've got the runs on the board. You don't have to do it anymore if you don't want to. So obviously the fact that you keep coming back to do it means you just love it and you'll never stop.
And I'm not going to appeal to some 14-year-old girls. Like, maybe some person on the radio would, and that's where you're going to blow up, like a 360 or something.
Yeah.
I got, and then people my age, they got mortgages and shit. They don't want to come out and pay all this money for a gig.
Yeah, it is. It's a tough one because I broke it down the other day with someone. There's like 26 million people in Australia. What percentage of them listen to rap? What percentage of them listen to Aussie rap? What percentage of them buy and pay for the music that they're consuming? And once you break that down, it's not
tiny.
A big market.
Yeah. Well, that's where people get confused where they think you're blowing up so big because they look at the American market. But America's a much bigger market.
Yeah. And the thing is, because what you do and what most people here do is so avant-garde to Melbourne and Australia, the market overseas doesn't really exist.
No, they don't care. No. Like we were sitting here listening to gangster rap and shit because that's what we got. That's what rap was. Yeah. But then I'm going to go, man, I want to hear about Bias talking about fucking his burn hat or some shit. Like, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Even the voice, they'll just go, man, I can't relate to that. It's weird.
Yeah, for sure. Do you get people recognising you in public and stuff and coming up and like, Bias, I want to get a photo and that sort of thing?
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Is it cool?
Yeah, it's good.
At the right time?
Yeah. No, it's always people, maybe when I don't get any bad people anymore or anything weird.
You used to get haters?
Oh, you just get people a bit too pissed or just want to rap at you or just want to hang out type of thing. It was funny. There was so I moved out west and I don't see anyone there. No one knows me out there. It's great. I was in Coles and there was this dude came up and he just goes, fucking Bias B. He goes, fucking wait there, bro, wait there. He's in his Echo tracksuit and he runs out of the Coles. I'm just going, what's this? He comes in, he hands me this fucking weed. It's like, oh man, I had to give you some. His name was Kenny. Twice I saw him. And then another time, come out to the car, bro. Come on, I'm just thinking of it, but it's funny. Some of those dudes, in public want to take a photo. You could be like Hillsville Sanctuary. So, you Bias B, can get a photo. The kids love it if I'm with the kids. They're like, it's a bit special.
Are they? Yes. Do they dig it that their dad's a rapper?
I don't think they really care.
They don't care.
No, like their stepdad's a DJ. They've moved down to Hobart now, and I think they think he's a bit cooler.
Okay.
A DJ, but I'm just like, whatever.
Do they want to do anything musically?
No, well, Leo, the youngest, he did a song. It was actually really good. I was surprised his flow and how good he did it. And he was, he didn't really want to do any more after that.
Yeah.
He was just happy with his song. He nailed it. He killed it. That was to move on.
Move on, something else.
The older one didn't care as much. I guess I was forced. I'll get a job, do this and that. You just got to find your own way. I let them find what they want.
And then
what
encourage
interest.
them in
If
that.
they like cars, like Leo likes BMXs, encourage you, yeah. But I'm not going to say, hey, you should play piano and force them to.
No.
I've never been that type of person because no one did it to me.
No, and I think that's definitely the way to do it. My son's only young, but I think of that. I want him to get into skateboarding because that's what I like. But if he likes something else, then you find what he likes and you help him in that way.
Yeah.
And that's the way that I think, you don't want to be one of those people that you got to fucking play footy. That's not the way to do it.
Yeah, but sometimes you look back and you go, oh, everyone else's kids are playing sport or they're doing such and such. Just each to their own. Just as long as the main thing for me, I didn't want to raise assholes. Mm-hmm. I want to. If I passed away on the way home today, I know that my kids are decent people with decent morals and they're going to treat people well, and they're on the right path to be good humans. That matters to me more than be an expert at this, be like some fucking famous whatever, have millions of dollars. I just want good people.
And that's all you can
There's
hope
nothing more important in the world than good people, especially now.
for sure.
There's a lot of horrible people around.
Well, the internet has made the world a bit of a toxic place.
Very.
There was a lot of, for lack of a better term, shit cunts out there. But
It was always there,
but you just didn't see them all as much.
Yeah.
Now-
Now you hear more or you see, yeah. But if you choose to, what you choose to look at, you choose to read, you choose to take in your brain, that's what becomes you.
For sure.
So if you want to listen to negative shit or you want to watch people fighting all the time, then you're just going to think about it.
And the thing that sucks about the internet is if you can just click on one or two of those things, and then it'll just feed you more than you
it
want
keeps giving it to you, yeah.
I like putting this record space up here. I looked at a few records, and then I looked at a few, different, and now it just gives me that all the time, which is cool.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, now all I'm looking at is interior designing stuff. Like
Yeah.
it just,
And you don't need it now. You've already done your interior design, yeah.
yeah, that's it.
Yeah, 100%.
Over your career, you've worked with a lot of interesting and great MCs, but I'm gonna guess that working with Chopper Reed was going to be one of the most interesting ones.
Yeah, that was weird.
It was weird.
Yeah. That happened through Shazlik one, who from OBs, who had OBs. He had a younger brother, Jesse, who went to Swinburne.
When it was in Paran?
No, it was at near Glenferrie Station, at that
okay,
one.
yeah.
So
A lot of riders went there, man.
Oh, they did. A lot of DMA crew, a lot of Kings went to that place. There was some. It was at school. These people came in. We're doing a movie. We were going to do music anyway. Something about rap songs. And Jeff's like, "Oh, my brother owns a hip hop shop. I could get some dudes to do a rap song." So he came in and said to me and Strut, because we were at the counter at the time working there, and he said, "Oh, they're doing this movie. Chopper's in it. They want to do a song with Chopper. Do you want to do it?" My first thought was, "Oh, dudes are going to say that's whack. What are people going to say? I don't want to do it." And then Strut was like, "Yeah, I'll do it." Sounds like, all right, cool.
So you
Strut's
had to
gonna
do it, yeah.
Same before, we used to wear your own name on your T-shirt. We didn't do it till Strut did it.
Okay.
Before that, it was like, you might get this for wearing your own name on your T-shirt. As soon as he did it, oh, cool, let's all do it. We went and we put the song together. There's actually two songs. There's another song for the movie's called Trojan Warrior. Had Stan the Man in it. Chopper had its tiny bit in it. So we did the track with Chopper, and there was another one called Ajax, which was with Jimmy Keys, and he made the beat. Me and Strut did it. Then the Chopper song, we both handed in verses. So Strut's verse he actually does on the song was the verse for Chopper.
Oh, okay.
And I wrote two verses for Chopper, and he picked one of those verses because he didn't want to use the word spastic, which Brad says in the first verse. He was offended by it or something.
So was he ahead of his time by that? Because you can't say
He
that
was.
now.
Oh, he grew up and he knew some kids or something, so it offended him because something to do with his past. We wrote the verses. We went to Trem's studio. I think he was in Elwood or Elstonwick at that time. And Chopper rocked up. We Stan the Man, the whole TV crew were there. There was about 10 people in this tiny little apartment. And and Chopper did his verses. And then it took me and Trem, I think it was about 7 hours we took to chop his words into a verse.
Like the
best
easy thing,
takes.
he couldn't.
He couldn't rap it on time. He just read, and also in the movie, it's he's illiterate. He's not. I had my handwriting, which isn't that clear, and he wrote it off the handwriting.
Oh, read
So
it
he can read all he wants. And then I just say, hey, Chopper, can you say it a bit faster? Can you say it a bit slower? And we sort of did it like that. But
So
it was kind of...
he didn't get the timing.
No, not at all. No.
Okay.
The only line he got on time was when he goes, this is the real Chopper, not Eric Banner. That's the only bit we actually said on the beat where I was meant to sit. But the rest of it wasn't. So trio, you had to take all these takes and try and make it sound like he's rapping. But we didn't really get time with him because all the other crew were there and wanted to hang around, and it was weird.
He was doing a lot of publicity stuff then. Like he'd become famous, after the movie.
Yeah, and he was doing stand-up comedy, I think, with Jacko, it might have been
And
at the
books
time.
and all sorts
and
of
books,
stuff.
yeah.
Wine and beers and everything.
Yeah, and then, so we did that, went to the premiere of the movie. All we got was a signed poster. We never got paid anything.
The movie was pretty shit.
We didn't even get a copy of the CD. The movie, it turned shit. They had mortgages on the house for this movie to come out, so they don't have to lost their houses or not. Jesus. And then the guy by the name of Headley Gritter, he was one of the main dudes. I think he still does a show. He did radio at Triple R for many years. He probably still does. Because we didn't get paid or got nothing out of it, when Obesity was coming out, the compilation, we said to Pegsy, have this song. And Bob Balance had a verse he didn't record, and we threw that on as well. And then Headley had seen in The Age, there was a write-up about this thing, and there's a track with Chopper, and he came in, like, oh, what's this? Oh, screaming at me and Brad. And it's like, mate, you didn't pay us a fucking cent. Like, we didn't sign any contracts or nothing. We do what we want with the song. It's our, And he picked up the vinyl up, oh, fuck that, and he just walked out the shop with it. We never heard from him again. He was, oh, fucking, I'm going to sue Obese or something. It's like, he did. Nothing happened. He couldn't do anything about it.
So he shoplifted a copy of the
thought,
record.
Oh, fuck, just take it, bro. And then, and then I remember I saw... because Chopper, I lived in Clifton Hill, and Chopper lived in Clifton Hill. And I was just getting food or something outside the chemist. Oh, Chopper, how you going? He's like, oh yeah, and he like walked off on that. And I was like, oh fuck, did he remember me? And I thought, oh fuck, that's I thought he would remember me, and I feel a bit uncool now.
Yeah.
And like about 2 months later, there's an interview on Channel 31. And he was like, oh, yeah, I did a couple, you made a music song, couple of scallywags, Bias B and Brad Strutt. And I was like, fuck.
So he named
So I remember my name.
Yeah.
Yeah, it made me feel like a dickhead.
You needed to be wearing the Bias B T-shirt, and then he might have remembered you.
Yeah. But then, like, because at first I thought people would think it was a whack thing to do, and then it's like all the comments on YouTube were just like, oh, man, this is whack. These dudes are fucking... Because the chorus was a necro chorus. And the idea, we'll just lip sync the chorus because we're not doing anything. They're trying to rap American. It's like, it's not even their fucking voice, mate.
Yeah.
And then, and then further down the line, he's like, dude saying, well, people in jail never respected Chopper and he was a dog anyway. And it's like, well, what are you doing a song with that dude for? I was just like, mate.
You can't win.
You can't win. If you went back 20 years, you go, someone who's, I grew up hearing about Chopper Reed in the papers as a little kid going, oh, it's like fucking... some crazy. It'd be like doing, Tony Montana or something. Like, do you want to do a song with Tony? Fucking oath I will.
Yeah, for sure.
Why not?
But, man, it happens all the time. People will say, oh, why have you got this guy on your show? He once did this 20 years ago. You're like, mate, I can't background check everybody of what they've ever done, bash someone 20 years ago. How do you know that? Like, you know, you can't. You can't win. And people are always going to try and pick apart faults like that sort of thing. Yeah.
And it's not like he was my mate and I was hanging out with him.
No.
I wasn't going to his house to, like, practice raps or some shit.
Mm.
I was only in a room with him for, what, an hour maybe at the most, and he left. That was it.
Yeah, and he was doing everything then. He was painting, he was making books, he was just trying to cash in on any way he could, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it spins me out when you say, like, people can't just say the words on the beat. It's like clapping off beat. It's almost harder to do than it is not to.
Yeah. It was like he hadn't even listened to it, or he hadn't rehearsed it. So I'll just say the words as I read them off the paper, and then it's like, all right, say a bit faster. Because in the end, I thought, hey, he's saying it too slow. It's not going to work. So he played the beat while he did it, but he didn't actually do it to the beat.
So funny.
Yeah. And me and Straight had already done our verses. That was already done.
Yeah. And what a spin out, though, man, because you used to work, not most people you'd work with then are willing to work with you and Strut. They want to prove themselves. They want to do a good job. And then you've got this guy who can't rap at all.
Yeah. And then there was a full album after that. You know that, yeah?
He put out a whole...
So that was Shaz's brother again. He thought... and that was the best-selling CD on Shogun when they were doing distro. Yeah. So heaps of people bought it. And they had like Matty B was on there, Ken Oath and shit. And Jesse hit me up and he said, oh, can you do some songs of Chopper? And I said, I'm not doing it anymore because all the comments on YouTube, like, I'm not doing that. He goes, I'll pay you to do some verses. So I was like, sweet. So I just wrote verses on the plane with Bigfoot coming back from Brisbane. I wrote 3 verses and go, oh, there you go.
And did he do them?
Yeah, use them. I got paid for them.
Well, at least you got some money out of it in the end.
Yeah.
Did he perform them well? I guess you weren't there to see.
No,
How
I
they
got
did
no
it.
idea at that point. I think I should have asked Checkers. He recorded a lot of it.
Oh, we'll ask him next time he comes in.
Yeah.
So did you do the one that was like just an average bloke likes a bit of torture, law
Yeah, yeah.
enforcer, smiling at your daughter?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only line I remember.
Can't stop to stand over man chop. A lot of people are pissed off. Yeah. I should have actually just done a recording of it so he could learn the words hearing it. That would have,
And then
in
he could-
hindsight, that could have worked better.
Yeah.
I don't think he really gave a shit. There was just these dudes trying to make money off Chopper and
Yeah, it was like people going, well, make a kid's book. He's like, yeah, I'll do that. Like he would have done anything at that point.
yeah.
Old Chopper. What about some other artists that are actual artists that you've worked with that you're really happy with over the years that aren't novelty acts, we'll say?
I don't know. Everyone's been good. It was I always loved doing stuff with Checkfoot and Big Mate.
Collaborative
Yeah,
project.
they're great. Checkmate and Bigfoot, they've always been good. We've done a bunch of songs with Crave.
Yep.
That's been good. Pretty much everyone.
Yeah. And Crave's been doing your backups when you've done gigs lately.
Yeah, I only did the one gig.
One.
But yeah, he's
Moving forward, maybe.
Well, I was meant to do one in Brisbane, but I had to cancel it. But I'll probably do a Brisbane gig at some point. Mm-hmm. I actually don't like performing live.
No.
I don't mind once I'm up there, but the nerves and all that beforehand just makes my body a bit whack inside, and I don't sleep well. I don't eat well. I get grumpy, snappy.
It is, even if they are your lyrics that you've penned yourself, it is hard to it must be confronting to think I've got to get all these out, and some people might know the lyrics better than you know them. Mm-hmm. That's the hard thing.
I do have a lot of words too.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is a lot going on. It's more just the fear of being on stage in front of people. Just even my brain saying, man, you've nailed this. You've got it all good. My stomach is just like, nah, you're not doing this tonight. Yeah. I don't know why.
The fight or flight thing, it's kind of, you just put you in an uncomfortable situation. But once you nail that first track, I guess, you're just sort of in your zone.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Once you've your first song in, you're like, oh, cool. I'm here now.
Yeah. And that's what would be the real importance of having somebody there doing backups and stuff for you. You know, all right, I feel confident. If I fuck anything up, he can sort of help me out.
Yeah.
You know?
And then like the gig I did at the Laundry, which was last November, the weekend before we did it, I went away with the wife and we were just sipping wine. She coughed and all of a sudden her voice was gone. I'm like, oh, fuck. She was getting sick and oh, fuck. I don't want a week before. I haven't been sick since COVID. This has been 4 years and not... And so it was getting me just before that show.
That adds to the anxiety.
Yeah. And so I didn't talk a lot. I slept a lot. I didn't go anywhere. And then halfway through the show, I was starting to fall apart. And Craig could see it, and he was just getting normal words. He was probably rapping as many words as I was.
Yeah.
But he was really good. And he was having a fucking great time up there. Mm-hmm. He was loving it. His mum was in the front row as well. She was loving it. Everyone was having a really good time.
For sure.
It was a really good gig, that one, actually.
Yeah. And so you're going to do a gig in Brisbane, but any plans on doing any more gigs in Melbourne?
Not at this point. I did get asked to do one in Adelaide, but
the one that Checkmate and Viliani are doing.
The same person, the Mushies guy.
Westside Mushies.
That's the one. I haven't agreed to anything yet, or I haven't got around to it, but see how it goes. Mm-hmm. That's it at this point.
And Crave's got another project on the go, man.
He's got a shop.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, there you go. There it is. Here we go. Harry's Hip Hop. There you go. Opened in about a month or so.
Yeah, well, it couldn't be a better. Well, when this comes out, it'll probably be about a week. But yeah, couldn't be a better spot to have a hip hop shop than inside a Hitachi Carriage, man.
Yes, it's great.
Exciting.
Yeah, unless you're scared of eating too many hamburgers, because lunch is very close.
It is.
Yeah, for those that don't know, it's up
Easy Street,
Collingwood. There's Hitachi trains up on the roof, and theirs is going to be the furthest one from Easy's, so not the middle one. And it's the top and the level below as well, so it's a two-level shop.
Yeah. Paint, records, vintage clothes.
Mainly vintage clothes and polo stuff. He's right into his polo clothing, records, has a big record collection. And then, later on paint, there'll be events up there, maybe in-stores, listening parties, that type of thing. So, they're still fitting it all out. I think they've got that for a number of years, a little outdoor area for a little barbecue and stuff. So him and Pedals are putting that together and,
And people will be able to paint the train?
They will be. I said he should just charge people to do it and they could pay his rent each week, but he doesn't really want to have to charge. I mean, everyone's going to want to paint it. Yeah. But it's only one little spot, sort of a one-man. You can't... There's only so much you can do.
Yeah.
But I'll definitely get up there and do one eventually.
Yeah.
I'll be pushed down the list slowly, I reckon, maybe. Yeah. And he's got some music coming out. Him and, I don't know if I meant to say, but no, I'll actually leave it.
Leave it.
Him and another bloke have some music coming out.
I've asked him to come on the show and he said, "Oh, I don't have enough to talk about at the moment." I'm like, "Well, you sort of do, but yeah."
He
when
can
he's
talk.
ready. Yeah,
He can
when
talk.
He's,
He's got stories, I tell you what.
Yeah.
I love the guy. He's great. Great entertainment. He's just a good human too. Real good dude.
Yeah.
So it's weird. Sometimes he's 19 years younger than me. You know, I think if you went back to like when you were 30, going, I'm hanging out with a 20-year-old, it's kind of weird.
Yeah.
But that doesn't feel like that because he's such he's experienced a lot of life.
But that's the really cool thing about art and like, you know, skating culture, BMX culture. You could be 15 and hang out with a guy who's 35. It doesn't really matter if you've got that same thing in common. It happens with graffiti and stuff all the time.
Yeah.
You know?
But it was funny back like, you know, say in the 80s or the 90s, like 2 years was total different generation.
Yeah.
You know, first, second or third generation. You didn't hang out with someone who's 2 years older or you're a young dude or a toy. But then once you get older, like shit doesn't matter anymore.
No, exactly.
It's just good people. That's all that matters.
Yeah. Yeah. As soon as you get past that sort of 20-something thing, everyone's the same age as long as you're cool. That's what I think.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. But so that shop's opening and might try and do some events up there. Mm-hmm. Just like a little private, you know, maybe get like 50, 100 people up in the train and do some type of performance.
That'd be cool.
That'd be good.
Yeah. Strut was doing some sort of like intimate dinner shows and stuff as well, wasn't he? Something similar to that, like just a small audience.
Well, I think that was that Westside Mushies thing he did.
Okay.
Yeah, that was I think you go and you have a meal and you sit down and you watch a bit of a rap. It's like a real small audience. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's nicer because people are there just because they want to see you and be, you know, a special part of that little group. Yeah. If you've got 300-400 people, maybe 50 of them don't give a shit. They're just there because their mate took them. They want to get pissed. Mm-hmm. You don't know what you're going to get.
Would you have ever thought when you put that beeswax demo with the Neath scheme together that, you know, almost, what is it, close to 30 years later, you'd still be putting out music and doing the same thing and made a life's work out of it?
Not really, no. Well, my whole idea was when with the, because I'd done, you know, I'd been making songs or whatever, and I thought I've always talked about rapping and I'm going to do this and do that. And back then everyone talked about it. Oh, I'm going to sign to Mushroom and I'm doing this album. We're doing that. It was all bullshit. I said, I'm going to be the one that actually does it. Mm-hmm. And I thought as well that I don't want to die and I missed out on that opportunity. I want something people to remember me by.
Yep.
So that's why I bought that CD out and made it happen. And then once that was done, I didn't know what the fuck I wanted to do because I was like, well, that was my whole, that was my goal. Well, I guess I'd do another one.
Yeah. But what a success story for that Neath scheme, though, because they have definitely opened up an avenue for you to put out music and then for other people. So whether or not those people...
inspire everyone else beyond that, yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I think they've got to chalk that up as a success story.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Yeah.
And those schemes still go. I know that other people that have used them in other businesses as well. So it's cool that there is opportunities like that still out there.
What was great as well was the 7-week business course. Just so many things they taught me just about time management, or just doing your books, just life in general, just to make things real simple to go, oh, that's how you do it.
Yeah, for sure.
You just wouldn't have thought of.
No, and like even just tax and that sort of thing, like a lot of people start businesses and they've got no idea. I did that myself, you know. You don't know about any of that stuff. You haven't done a business course. I guess that helps,
Yeah, I remember one of the guys in my thing was going to be an internet provider. What the fuck is that? Wow. And he was trying to draw diagrams of, I'm the server and you use... But he's probably loaded now, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm just thinking, what's this dude talking about? He's tripping.
Yeah, that's it.
And he always sit there smug, like, no, you can't teach me anything. I know what I'm doing. Like, I'll just give you the money. I'll just sit here for the 7 weeks.
Yeah.
There's other people just trying to do jewelry or whatever. They just accepted everyone who had a good idea.
Yeah. But your one would have sounded like pretty out there. I'm going to start rapping. I'm going to start selling CDs.
Well, the actual part of the scheme was that I'm going to bring this CD out to open a studio for everyone else because there's no studios for anyone to record. That's the angle I took.
Yeah, well, it's a good angle.
Yeah. I just didn't end up doing that. I ended up partying instead. But I kept, I guess I've got a studio now.
Yeah. Oh, you got a home studio?
Fine. Yeah.
Yeah. And is that where, so if you've got a concept for a song, you'll record it there, like a demo, take it to Checkers, say, this is what I've got?
Yeah, well, I was doing a lot of stuff with my mate Mixer. So I'd record it at home and send it to him, and then he just does the compression and the delay and everything and fancies everything up.
So you've already got the beat from Checkmate or whoever gives you the beat?
Yeah, whatever the beat. Yeah, so I've already recorded on it, and then I take it. Like, it took me a while to get a good sound, but what I worked out is if I can get a good sound at home with no effects, no EQ or anything, then it can really sound good once it's polished. But if I go to Checkmate's show and he's already got the studio set up and just walk in and I'll record it there. But the great thing at home is if I do a verse and then I'm laying in, because I always listen back and think, oh, fuck, I could change that. I could say something better there. If you went to someone's studio, you're not going back for a week. The vibe kind of goes away and you go, I'll just leave it, whatever. Where you're at home, you're just like, fuck, I'm just turn it back on. And within 5 minutes, you've changed the words and cool, you listen again. You go, oh, maybe I didn't say that word properly. Because when I listen, every album I listen back to, this shit I could change. You go, I should have done this, I should have done that. I didn't say this properly, yeah. You know. But when you're at home and you got the access to do it yourself, just to record those words. Even sometimes you write a song, you got the beat you've written and you go, oh, this is fucking sick. And you go to the studio, record it, and you go, that didn't work. What's wrong with it? Whether it's in the wrong key or there's something, you do it at home and you go, I'm not going to waste my time paying someone else to go to the studio. Yeah. This one sucks, we'll just put it to the side. Because every song doesn't work.
Yeah. No. But when you hit them though.
Yeah. And you know when you hit them, you're just like, oh, that's a real good one. You just want to play it to people, get excited.
Well, is it line to line when you mention every single train line or just about?
Yeah.
How did you man? Just how did that concept obviously is pretty simple, but putting it together, how hard was that?
I wrote, first of all, it's all train lines, it's stations, it's the lines but yeah, stations. They existed in 88, 89. Okay. So you haven't got Mernda or other that was built after that. So that's what I focused on there. I got Noel Melways, which had the picture of the train line. I wrote them all down. Then I'd connect ones that rhymed. And then also words just start with the same letter.
Alliteration, yeah.
Because sometimes that makes things sound almost like they rhyme just because they all start with the same letter. So that's how I did that, and then just put the puzzle together.
Yeah. Could you do it live?
Yeah.
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 So when you're doing the live recording...
I can do most of it right now, but I'd get the last verse wrong because I never do the last verse live.
Okay. That's when you... Yeah.
Yeah, I remember I used to go out with Bigfoot and that and go, you fucking... That was a challenge to nail it and get everything right.
You don't want to miss a station because someone might be there waiting to hear their station.
It was that Aspendale, Ashburton, Mentone, Tacoma. It was that Aspendale, and I say... Oh, there's another one before that. I can't think what the other station is. I have to rap it to get in there.
Because I'm not a rapper, I often wonder, do you visually see it, or you just know, you could just reach back into wherever that is in your head and figure out this is how it comes out? Is it visual, or is it just
when you're writing it, or when you're rehearsing?
When you're performing, when you're performing
it, it's a rhythm.
It's
it's where the syllables sit. I think that's what works for me.
Yeah.
So I don't see it, and a lot of it's about breaths. So that's another thing when you're rapping, to teach any kids out there, when you're running out of breath on the mic, you have to concentrate where you take those little ins. Otherwise, if you breathe in, then you start do a rap, you run out of breath and it sounds funny. So you've got to start in the middle, not full and not empty, and you've got to try and keep always there. That's what works for me anyway.
Yeah. And I guess coming from that stage rocking the mic mentality rather than the studio mentality, you're already thinking that before you go to record stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, even when you record it, and you'll know certain bits you can't say. So you've got to get someone to do the backup there, or take one word, or the exact spot to breathe to get those words out.
Yeah.
That's because I say too many words, that's all.
But that's
I'm still trying to learn to say less. Still trying.
Yeah, the beauty of negative space.
But apparently I talk fast as well, but I don't realise. When I listen back to this interview, I'll be like, man, slow down. What are you talking so fast for? It's funny thing overseas, people wouldn't understand anything. And I'd have to speak to them like this so they could understand what I was saying.
For sure.
Because I'm just...
And look, I've been in America and pull up to a Macca's drive-through or whatever, and my friend will just put on an American accent. And I'm like, what are you doing? They're like, it's just easier. They just don't get it if we say, we want 2 Big Macs. They're like, sorry, sir.
Sorry, yeah. Tell you a funny one, I was in New Zealand and we got a hire car. Activate Bluetooth wouldn't work. And I go, activate Bluetooth. And it fully worked.
Really?
Fully worked. Me and Miss is just laughing. Yeah.
That's so funny.
That's funny. I don't even do good accents. It still worked.
The Kiwi one is so funny because it's so similar to ours, but I find it really hard to do as well.
Yeah.
It's that and the South African one. It's like, it's so similar to us, but I couldn't do it.
I end up I try and do South African. I start sounding Indian, or Indian, I start sounding like Asia. I'm not good at accents.
All roads lead to Borat for me when I do that. I always end up sounding like Borat. All right, man. Well, we've done about 2 hours of chat. Do you want to shout out anybody or tell people what's coming up in the future before we do a wrap? I'm really excited you're going to do a wrap.
Yeah. You'd have a toilet before that?
Yeah, for sure.
The coffee got me. I think I'm shout out everyone.
You have. You've got an amazing memory for even people's names from, a long way back.
Oh, yeah, I don't think there's anyone I miss. No, shouts to Crave and Pedals opening their shop, to my wife. Okay, shouts to her. Of course, the Checkers.
Yep.
Checkers, Crave and Mixer, and I guess that's about it.
All the Word 'em Up Wednesday crew.
Yeah. Everyone that came to my 50th, everyone I love, you know who it is.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Shout out to you for having me.
Oh man, no, I've been on your case for a long time, and I appreciate you taking the time. And I love when I saw you at Union Heights on Record Store Day. The first thing you said to me is like, "I'll do your podcast one day, man."
I'll come. Well, that show at the laundry, Dave asked me for 5 years straight, 4 times a year.
Really? He's persistent.
No, not doing it. No. In the end, I go, fuck, all right, I'll do it.
Yeah.
It was mainly because my wife wanted to get on stage for that 5 minutes. She sort of talked me into it. So you can thank her for that.
So she's a performer too.
Yeah, she's done a bit of singing.
Yeah.
She's also done some rapping. There's a song called Wicked Witch of the West.
Okay.
I made the beat. I wrote the raps, and we're just bored one day, and I said, "Oh, you should record this."
Has she put it out there?
You can find it's on YouTube. I think it's really good. I really like it.
You might be biased though.
I might be. I don't love everything she does, but no, definitely, most of it. Yeah. But yeah, that was really good. So she's even last weekend, the weekend before, so I went to Checkers joint and I went in the studio with him and we made a song, and then her and Billy did a song together.
Oh, cool.
But it was just singing. It was like a drum and bassy thing.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, and they both came out really good.
Yeah, Villy said that she's got an album coming out which is singing, one that's coming out which is just production, and one's coming out which is rapping. And I'm like, how do you know what you're going to do? She's like, whatever I feel like on the day.
Yeah, she's great human.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, very creative. Nothing she does. She even makes things, miniature things, and draws things, and it's good. Cool. Shout outs to everybody.
And Melbourne.
And Melbourne, and the Burn crew. I'll have an album out soon. It'll be called Burn. Mm-hmm. There's another one called Blessed coming out as well. Once I work out which tracks are going where.
Yep.
Bunch of guests. Shout out to Greeley because I saw him yesterday. Eric Devine. Mishap as well. Saw a name on the wall there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Greeley's up there too. Yeah.
I could go on all day with shout outs, but shout outs to everyone and thanks for having me. And keep listening if you want to. If you don't, I won't get offended.
Bias B, thanks for coming, man. It's been awesome. I'm glad you come in, and it's been a long time in the making. I'm just stoked that you made the journey, so thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Cheers.
3,000.